It looked like it worked. Yay! Hello, everyone. This is Myth and Gears, and we're about to play a D&D 5e one-shot in the world of Dowrenland, which is the guy who doesn't want to play anymore. He just kind of dropped and left, but it's Jeremy Lilley's game setting. So while he decides if he wants to come back or not, we will go on with everybody else and have them introduce themselves. We'll start with Alan.
All right. First, I want to say welcome back, Jeremy. It's nice to have you in the game with us. So yeah, my name's Alan. I run the channel Check for Traps, run live plays of D&D and various other awesome RPG systems with very cool role players. So check that out. Tonight, I am playing Jinx, who is a feline warlock, and I am excited to go down the rabbit hole, if you would.
Jeremy, you ready?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. I am Jeremy. I run the YouTube channel, the Erasmas Expeditions, where I have live plays and videos talking about RPGs, a couple of crafting videos, things of that nature. I am also 1/3 of the Dudes of Yore podcast, which can also be found on YouTube. Please go and check those out. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff to watch with several of these fine people. So I'm very excited to kind of be on the other side of the screen from Karen, and as well as being on the same side of the battlefield as some of these fine gentlemen who've I've tried my best in the past to kill sometimes. Tonight, I am going to be stepping into the bootless footprints of Alistair Briarthorn. He is a Levin, which is kind of like a rabbit folk race, and he is a paladin that has taken an oath of devotion.
I will not lie, it's a little weird being on this side of the screen from you, so we'll see how this goes. Joseph.
All right. How's everybody doing? I'm Joe, keeper of the 1 Foot Wall, teeny tiny little YouTube channel. I guess you could say I'm 3/3 of the 1 Foot Wall. All right, so couldn't resist it. Sorry. Tonight I am playing a Kesser, which is like a very natural race in Jeremy's Dowrenland. I'm playing Nutari Burchkin, and she is a master of the bow, you could say. She enjoys not just the stirring of the bow, but the craftsmanship of the arrows, the delicate nature of the fine-grown trees and the wood to make such a beautiful implement of, well, let's be honest, of killing. She is a fighter, so I'm excited to get into this, like following everybody down the rabbit hole, watching that Cheshire Cat moon. Like, I'm ready to get it on.
It's good to have you. And last but not least, Baron.
Hello, everybody. I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming, where we have live plays of all sorts of shit. Just did a bunch of stuff. Come check me out. Tonight, I'm playing Cornelius Gildegard Victavian Bandersnatch IV, engineer and doctor extraordinaire at your service. I am the basically equivalent of a rock gnome. We are tinkerers and just pains in the ass.
All right. Guess we can start this, huh? I wrote it all down because I am so nervous. We'll just get that out there. So come with us, if you will, for we have a tale to spin of heroes brave and villains cold, both desperate this game to win. Who knows how the story will end, but this is how it begins. We open with a view of black ominous clouds taking up our entire vision, and we strain to see a small plane flying through them and hear the drone of its twin engines. Suddenly, we are inside, and we see 4 passengers dressed in old-fashioned clothing. The first, a male, with a hat on his head and dressed in a suit, But on closer inspection, it looks a little worn. His fingers are stained with many colors. A painter, you think to yourself, and then you notice the couple opposite him, a man and his wife, you question. They're talking quietly together, but you can't hear what they say. And you notice on his belt, almost hidden but not quite, a badge, a policeman's badge, and the woman dressed in a pastel floral dress with white gloves on her hands. She's lean, she's muscular. Odd, you think, for a woman, and you wonder, do I know her? Have I seen her before? And then the newspaper the fourth passenger is holding grabs your attention, the picture on the page staring out at you. It's her. Yes, by Jove it is. She's receiving a medal. For what? For shooting? But before you can even register anything further, the plane drops. It buffets. A man's voice from the front of the plane says, "Hold on, everyone. It's going to get rough as we fly through this storm." And the man puts the newspaper down, but not before you notice the date. It's January 8th, 1937. And then you focus on his face. Oh my goodness, it's the famous chess player, the one who's been in all the talk these last few weeks. A bright light flashes outside the plane, and suddenly you're dropping, plummeting. The man in the front is saying, "Mayday, mayday, we've been hit. We're going down. I repeat, we're going down." And the engine outside the window is on fire, and there's this horrible noise, this grinding of metal on metal, the shriek as it bends and twists, and you can't breathe. The air is filled with smoke, and you hear a voice in your head. You must take the Metal Monarch, or all is lost. And you awake, but are you sure? There is still this cacophony of sound, rock on rock. The ground is shaking. You know it should be light out, but the air is filled with dust and it's hard to breathe. And your coughing causes you to strain against the bonds holding you to the floor. And that's where we'll begin. You guys are in the midst of a skill challenge. And so we will start with initiative. Cornelius, you are up.
So we're I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what is happening.
So you are what seems to be like in some sort of stone building, a castle maybe. You're not sure. It's falling around you. Everything is in chaos.
Am I chained down?
You are somewhat tied down. If you look, you notice that you are covered in vines, these purpley black flowers, and you know them to be forget-me's, which is probably why you don't remember why you're here in the first place.
See, usually I try to be ready with what I'm doing on my turn. No. Are these... Is it just like a natural effect of the flowers, or is it like a magical effect? Do I know? Can I make a check to find out?
Yeah, go ahead. You can make a nature check.
Okay. Thank God I'm smart. I got a 15.
Yes, this is definitely a natural effect of these flowers. I mean, it's also kind of magical, I guess. They are magical flowers. But they wrap themselves around people and cause them to start forgetting their life, and which causes them to just kind of go into a drowsy sleep until they perish.
This is the most savage plant ever. I would like to... I'm panicking right now. And from my hand, you see... the kind of like clockwork of my chain. It's chainmail, but it's like kind of like a visual of like moving chains working together. And they start to clank really hard, and I'm casting Sacred Flame on me.
What does that do?
It's a cantrip. Flame-like radiance descends on a creature I can see within range. Target must succeed a dexterity saving throw or take radiant damage.
So you're targeting the plant?
Yeah, or me setting myself on fire.
Sure.
It says creature, and I don't know if this plant is technically a creature, so...
I would say it is, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll target the plant. So the plant would have to make a dexterity saving throw, but I don't know if...
It will fail, yeah.
Okay, so I deal 1d8 radiant damage. 6.
Okay, so as soon as you do that, you target the flower, the main bush of the plant that's around you, and it definitely goes up in flames, and you are, for all intents and purposes, free. You still got like the vines around you, but they're no longer attached to the main plant.
I'll take it.
Okay. And then we'll go on to Jinx.
All right, so for Jinx, you see a humanoid feline who kind of resembles that of a lynx, tufted ears with like a bushy sideburns that kind of pull out there. He's wearing a kind of pink purplish suit and vest, and the white gloves around his hands, though where the tips of his claws go back, it's actually frayed at the end of those gloves there. His top hat is just off to the side off of his head as he awakens from this drowsiness. Where am I? Oh, it seems I must have fallen asleep. He looks over at Cornelius, who seems to have set himself aflame. My goodness, man. What have you done? What have I done? Oh, my.
Who are you?
Am I restrained in any way, or?
Yes, you are also restrained.
If you don't mind. And he kind of just nods at the plants that have grown over his limbs.
I do something? I mean, I think we're in initiative if you wanted.
Yeah, Jinx, do you want to do anything at this point, or?
Well, I guess I could, sure. What I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and use my Warlock ability, Misty Escape, which allows me to basically just kind of poof and repoof within 60 feet. So with that, just kind of as he does, this kind of like green mist just kind of, and it kind of has like firefly sparkles in it as he reappears nearby, but he's unrestrained, and he kind of dusts himself off, and he takes his top hat and he places it just so, and he smiles, a toothy fang grin.
Perfect. So that brings us to Macari.
All right, yeah, she slowly kind of stirs and wakes up and see this woman clothed in, for all you can figure, it looks like more plants, like almost a gossamer moss, kind of a bit of a flowing dress over some a hard kind of leather look. It's maybe it's a fungal skin that just has that texture and appearance of armor, and her very skin looks kind of smooth and pale and mottled, very much like the bark of a birch tree, which seems odd, yet somehow she's still fairly attractive underneath all of this. You know, a more next door neighbor beauty, I guess. I don't know if the term were, but she seems a little confused at first and kind of looks around as, you know, one man's erupting in flame and another is turning to smoke. And taken aback, she reaches back and instinctively a hand goes and pulls a blade from her belt, slicing through these bindings that are trapping her, and she kind of leaps to her feet, backing away, keeping both of these people in front of her, and kind of looks around a bit startled. What? Where are we? What is this is happening? Who are you people? Did you put me here? I ask you again, who are you?
Who are you both? What are you doing here? Where?
Do you know, I can't get it out of my head. It's ringing and ringing. The Metal Monarch? Did you bring me here for him? Next.
Alistair.
So Alistair, I think, right as like that tension is kind of building, all of a sudden, like this rabbit sits up. He's got this absolutely absurd set of eyebrows and this kind of tuft of fur at his chin that's longer than the rest of his face. His like amber colored eyes are really wide open. These vines are wrapped all about his rather fancy looking clothing and this very shiny armor that he's wearing. He sits bolt upright, looking very frightened. I think there's vines like even like binding his ears and things. Where am I? What's going on? Who are you people? Oh, he kind of looks down, and I'm not sure if you'll allow this or not, Karen, because I don't technically have a bite attack. But since these are plants, I'd like to just use his big old rabbit teeth to just try to chew his way free.
I love that. So yes, let's do that.
Okay, perfect. What kind of roll would you like?
Let's maybe let's say acrobatics or whatever, because you're going to have to try to get into some awkward positioning to maybe get some of them.
Well, I have 17 living children. Okay, acrobatics. That's a total of a 19.
Well, that definitely works. So you are able to chew your way through and are also free.
Okay, so he kind of chews his way free and kind of pulls the rest of them off of him and then kind of tries to scamper hop off to the side of the room to try to see if he can get away from these plants.
So at this point, I would like each of you to make a dex save as part of the roof is collapsing above you and you need to jump out of the way. So Alan, if you could roll a dex saving throw. The roof is collapsing around you. Okay, so Jinx and Cornelius, you both make it. So you're going to take 4 points of bludgeoning damage as you just catch corners, like little tiny bits of it catches you. And the rest of you are going to take 8. To the right. And at this point, we're going to start the skill challenge in earnest. 5 successes you need to be successful and get out. It's kind of a modified one. There's no fail state per se, except death. So try not to do that one. And we will start with Cornelius. Oh, and so basically, yeah, same skill. Pass it to DC for this is DC 13. And different skill than one that has worked before.
So I think what I will do is, am I allowed to use like spells and stuff to aid me?
Sure, why not?
Well, what I would like to do is I'm going to, from my robes, I pull out, well, robe/chainmail. I pull out a salve that I throw onto the crumbling portion of this wall here. And effectively, I am casting Mending for the sake of an investigation roll to find the safest route out of this room.
Okay, so do your investigation roll, and because you cast a spell, let's do it at advantage.
Probably should have waited till these were harder. I got like an 18 on the die, so I think Mending's cantrip, so it's fine.
So that is one success, and you definitely notice the most stable path out of this room towards the exit.
See, the construction was designed with archways to suppress the weight. This way.
And that brings us to Jinx.
All right. I guess Jinx would be looking to see if there was anything like magical. So an Arcana check.
See if it was like a magical barrier or anything. Is that what you're looking for? Or...
I suppose so. I mean, otherwise I would just try to climb out, right? Is there...
As far as you can tell, this is probably purely normal. As you look around, like the building is really old and decrepit, so it's probably nothing magical about this.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I would just follow suit and try to go towards whatever exit was available.
So do you want to use athletics or acrobatics or something to...
I'm not proficient in those, but I will definitely rely on dexterity.
Sure.
10.
Okay, so that didn't quite make it. So as you scramble to get out, you actually set loose a few rocks and boulders, which kind of crash on you, and you're going to take 2 points of bludgeoning. And that brings us to Natari.
All right, I think definitely the first one is going to go for athletics. And she'll see the way and kind of look around at everybody and go, we should move quickly. This place is coming down. Listen to the small one.
You see these boulders? Please, you, come quickly. What did you say your name was? Natari? If you lift these boulders, we should be able to escape down this passageway.
That sounds like a good plan. Yeah, I'm going for it. I'm following suit. The small one seems to know what he's talking about. So I'm going to go and brace some boulders out of the way to move through, or try and push some of these things out so we keep the path clear, I guess.
Make your check.
It's 16 for athletics.
So that is definitely a success. So you can describe what that looks like.
All right. So the lithe form of this woman just kind of rushes forward and surprisingly to her size, just kind of shoulders into, despite the dress and the flowing of the moss and grass hair with little flowers growing through, just shoulders heavily into this boulder and pushes this thing out of the way. Kind of almost, perhaps a little startling.
My goodness,
unbefitting of her size. They grow them very sturdy where I am from.
Most excellent. I'll have to inquire about this later.
Quickly now, quickly.
Aleister.
So Alistair's kind of watching these other three rushing about after having been hit by a chunk of stone that fell in and collided with the back of his right shoulder. he's very, very nervous towards the alien, or Aslian, that's what they are, the cat person. He's very much keeping his distance. He makes sure to gather his belongings, though. I don't know if they're in the room or still on us. Like our swords and packs and whatnot.
Remarkably, they're actually still on you. It was like you were caught almost like in the midst of action or something. Like everything was still on you when you awoke.
Excellent. So after having made certain, he then will kind of timidly follow. But as he's doing so, he's running through his mind, trying to remember if he knows these people, if he's seen them before, or how they might have all come here together. And I'm assuming that nothing comes, that it's all a blank.
The last couple of days are definitely blank. You do have memories that go back from there. So if you've known them previous to the last, 48 hours, then yes, you will remember who they are.
I've never seen any of you in my life.
Yeah, I think it's better that way. Yes, you're all very strange looking to me, but I think it's perhaps best that I follow you for the time being.
I'll get the let out.
Did you say to 11, get the let out? Good on you, sir. He's going to bound as quickly as he can through this opening that Nutari has just kind of held open, using acrobatics, if at all possible. Yes? Okay, cool. That is a 15.
That is a pass. So you can describe how that looks.
So I think Nutari had kind of pushed back this boulder. Joe, are there like vines and stuff that are constantly like moving around on Nutari?
Maybe with a breeze, things might flow, or with the fast movement, things might flow around. But they seem fairly steady for the most part.
Okay, they're not like growing and shrinking and twisting and stuff.
No, not quite.
All right. So yeah, as you kind of push this boulder up and out of the way, a figure that's probably no bigger than 4 foot, aside from the ears, comes like brushing past you and kind of almost twitches its nose in your direction, trying to maybe ascertain exactly what is going on with you, before kind of going around you and bounding through this opening that you just made. Thank you very much.
You can thank me when we are out.
That brings us back to Cornelius.
So, I have studied in some of the most prestigious schools in the region. Would I recognize this construct by any means through maybe a history check?
Give me a check.
All right, yeah. 26.
Oh, yeah. So this is a castle. It's an old castle. It was called Ye Olde Castle. Very aptly named.
Aptly named, yes.
It has been here for, well, as long as you've ever known it to be here. And it is definitely dilapidated and falling down. And this does not surprise you now that you're inside of it and it is collapsing about you.
So would you say we were in like a garden area? Like, would we simply just be like on a side route to get out of this building?
I kind of envisioned you as in kind of the entrance hall.
Okay.
Area. So
we're not far from a door.
No. There's some distance in front of you and some, blockage and debris and what have you, but no, you're not that far.
Well, you see, this castle, we aptly named Ye Olde Castle, is very old and very prone to breaking. Quickly, quickly.
So that
You-
brings us to Jinx. Sorry, Jeremy.
It's okay. I was just going to say, so you named it Olde Castle.
Oh, no, no, I did not name it. It has been here much longer than I, or you, perhaps.
But someone named it Olde Castle.
They were masons, not poets.
So even when it was new, they called it Olde Castle.
When it was new. Don't you know it was built like this?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, so I think Jinx is going to continue trying to make his way out. Unless I could perceive a better, more stable way of getting out.
Absolutely. Make a perception check.
All right. 14.
That is a success, and that is your 5th success. So you notice, well, describe what you notice and how you get out.
So Jinx's cat-like eyes are basically just kind of scanning the area, and his tufted ears are twitching this way and that way as he's listening to the stone crumbling around. And as with his feline grace, he's able to move around, and he comes up to just right up next to Aleister as he passes by, and he looks him right in the eye, and he says, "I don't play with food." And he moves past.
If you should, sir, you will taste my steel. Kind of says, like, very, very uncertain.
I don't think now is the time for us to argue about anything, eating or not.
Well, that's fair for you to say. You're not the one who's going to be eaten.
That depends on how hungry you get.
Eaten? Eaten? By gods! I am hungry. What do we got to eat?
Apparently rabbit and vegetables.
No thanks on the rabbit. I'm quite good. Vegetables, though. Don't mind if I do. What do you have? All this study has worked up my appetite.
There are some lovely flowers back inside.
No, I didn't quite like those flowers. Got mild headache now. Perhaps dehydration.
Do any of you know how we came to be there?
I remember I was traveling somewhere, I think. I don't know. I think the forget-me's are still fogging my mind. I am not sure. I mean, I have all of these things. You know, she gestures to the well-equipped pack. I had to have been going somewhere. The same. I see the same for all of you.
Yes.
What do you remember?
Something. Metal. Ruler. A metal ruler. Yes. What was it?
The Metal Monarch.
Yes. A metal monarch. Yes, which is a kind of ruler.
It's ringing in my head as well. What of you two? Jinx. Cornelius. What can you remember?
The Metal Monarch. Metal Monarch. Does this ring a bell? Can I history check this or investigation check? I need to wear my glasses, obviously, because it is only fitting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. The Metal Monarch. You see, that sounds familiar. No, it doesn't actually. I got a 1 on that, so a total of 8.
Yeah, you do not know. You can make it up if you'd like, but you do not know.
No, maybe not.
This name is not familiar to me, but I happen to recall Chessmin.
As in people playing chess, or
Perhaps, or perhaps actual chessmen.
well, no need to develop an attitude.
Very well. Perhaps we
Chessmen
should
could-
find a way out of here before we get in more trouble.
Well, chessmen could mean very many things, for you see, and you'd see like this amulet, very reminiscent of a rook chess piece. By association of the clergy, I am a chessman.
Oh, that's definitely something that would strike a true target. Wait, targets. I remember something about targets. I don't know, but maybe it will come to me, but chessmen, targets, metal monarchs, Olde Castle. I think we should get farther away from these forget-me's. There's still clouds in my brain.
And as you say the old castle, and you've all just passed out of it, it collapses for a final, at the final point, all of it just down, rubble, nothing. A cloud of dust comes spewing out at you. And where you stood not moments before, there is now a pile of rock. And everybody can make a perception check if they would like to.
That's a 14 for me.
So Alistair and Jinx, out of the corner of your eye, as the dust is kind of settling, you see this wooden placard on the ground, probably only about 10 feet or so in front and towards the rubble.
What's that there? Over there. He kind of hops over towards it.
It seems to be a sign of some sort.
Alistair kind of leans down and winkles his nose up against it. Curious. Well, I suppose we should at least turn it over. And he'll kind of reach his foot down and try to flip this thing over if he can.
Yeah, it's about, I would say, a good 2 feet by a foot, kind of jagged, old looking. And on the other side, and very with paint, but worn paint, you can see in some kind of an old cursive script, ye old with the E castle, and then pasted on it in with much newer paint is to be demolished, Genius, the day of 8th, by order of the Metal Monarch.
See here, this Metal Monarch seems to have scheduled the demolishing of this building. Apparently, we were just in sight of it whenever they decided to tear it down.
Curious, but why were we inside if we knew the castle would be destroyed?
Maybe we didn't see the sign.
Maybe we did know, and that's why we were wrapped in forget-me's. Maybe we were there on purpose.
Curious.
Well, that would mean someone's trying to kill us. And who would want to kill me?
And possibly imagine.
Me either.
Or maybe we are criminals. Although I don't know why we would have so many things.
Criminals. Certainly
I
not, sir.
take offense to that, sir. I am no criminal. I'm a member of the chessmen.
I am no sir.
Ma'am, plant, whatever.
Well, if this Metal Monarch was supposed to be demolishing this building, then surely they must be somewhere around here. Yes? Or not too far away.
Presumably.
I do think we should go somewhere. That we can't stand here beside a pile of stone. There must be something. There must be. There must be some trace of why we were there. Surely someone has to know. Maybe a town. We could hopefully get our memories back as we walk.
As you look around yourself, you notice that you are on a hill. And as you gaze around, down the hill, on almost all around you is this fog. It obliterates the horizon. You can't see anywhere. And as you scan and you go full 360, the fog starts to clear and you see a forest. This thick, kind of menacing looking forest with trees that are growing crooked, and there's not too many leaves, but there's lots of branches, so it's very, very dense. And it kind of takes your vision for like about, I don't know, about like a 30-degree part of the world. And everywhere else is just this fog. And in the middle of this forest, there's a path. And that is what you see. And you definitely hear an owl hoot.
I believe that we are going to have. What more comfort can one ask for than to be surrounded by trees?
There's a path. Path means civilization.
That's the Black Forest. We don't want to go in there, do we? Certainly not.
It seems that something or someone wants us to go that way.
Cornelius is right. Unless you found another road that the rest of us can't see, this may be the one we need to take.
Well, I suppose there's no arguing it. Very well.
Well, this trek could be long. It's good that we have plenty of... He looks over at Alistair. Rations with us.
I'll have
Toothy
you know
grin again as he steps along.
I'll have you know I'm very gamey in my old age. Perhaps you should go in front, Jinx.
Oh, by all means. You're the one wearing the tin can. Clink, clink.
He kind of wipes away where you touched his armor, almost fastidiously, and he turns, kind of pulls the straps on his backpack a little tighter, and then he kind of checks to make sure that his sword is going to slide out of the sheath. Very well. Of course, I'll go first. That's what we Briarthorns do. And he'll turn and kind of take like a half step, and then kind of falter for a second, and kind of, and then march forward.
Jinx before he sets out. He kind of like pets down his vest as if he's searching for something, and he reaches into his vest pocket. And as he begins to pull out, it shouldn't even look to appear like it could fit in a vest pocket, but this large black tome kind of pops out. Ah, it's still here. And as he goes to put it back in his vest, it's as if it just shrinks.
Is that a book? I love books. Where did you get that?
This book is not for you.
Books are for everyone.
Leans down again. His eyes narrow and shows his fangs a bit. Would you be willing to sell your soul to read this book?
You see, the form that I reside in and the one that will continue on once I'm gone contain the same amount of molecules. I'm not sure I believe in a soul, let alone the barter for one. I simply seen a book, a tome wrapped in what I could only presume is leather, and pages within. If you will not share it, that is your choice.
Oh, well, if you think so little of your soul, then very well. Here, I believe I have... Ah, yes. Again, reaches into his vest, and as if it shouldn't fit there, a parchment comes out, and he pulls a feather from his hat. Simply sign here.
And I like switch my glasses for like a pair that has like 3 extra lenses that like zoom in real far. I will have to read this over and make copies in triplicate before I sign anything. You may hold on to this.
Very well. Again, like as if kind of like a retractable screen. It just kind of like rolls itself up, and he puts it back into his vest.
I'm like looking up at you, and it's like my eyes are like super zoomed in, and I'm like blinking. That is a neat trick. I think we're running behind. Please, after you.
And he begins to follow Aleister.
Yes, I'll bring up the rear. It seems we are full of our tricks. And she subconsciously again just reaches back, and this bow seems to grow out of her dress. Oh, and she kind of stares down at it, half curious and half comforted by the sight, and follows along in the back. And still, there's no apparent quiver of arrows anywhere.
So you guys head into the forest, and the path is overgrown, and you can see at one point it used to be a path. There used to be, cobblestones here marking a way, but no longer. And the trees around have grown dark and twisted, and it's almost like they reach out to grab you at times, but you're unsure. And the sounds, you'll hear the owls, the hoot, but there'll be these shrieks as well. Not pleasant bird sounds, but more ominous. And the path is dark, and you come into kind of a fork in the road, and you see a couple of signs, but they're pointed down towards the ground, kind of cocked at different angles. They're not actually pointing anywhere. And one says the right path, and one says the wrong path. What do you do?
Are we to believe the signs, do you think? I mean, the right path for what? The wrong path for what? Does it know what path we're looking for? Or are they just?
I believe it's merely perception-based. Perhaps if we ask the signs the question, which path is right for us?
I don't trust anything here in the Black Forest. Even if we spoke to the signs, and even if they spoke back, I wouldn't believe what they had to say.
Well, you can speak back.
To what? The signs?
It's clearly speaking to you. Right path, wrong path.
You're a most peculiar individual.
Thank you.
You talk to the signs. He kind of turns and stares at the signs for a second. Well, is this the right path for us or the wrong path for us? He says directly at one of the signs.
You wait and you listen and you wait a little longer. The signs do not talk back to you.
Did you really think that the signs would talk?
I don't know. He seems an educated individual. I took that at face value.
I may have something for you to sign later. So, and he sits there and he looks at the signs and he just kind of hits one as if to like swat at it, to spin it.
I'd like you to make a strength check.
That is a 6.
So you barely reach out to touch it, but as you swat it, you knock it off and down to the ground. Which direction it's pointing now is, who knows?
Now we choose our own path.
He kind of bends down and picks up the arrow and like pivots it kind of one direction.
I'm sure if you
direction.
throw it into the air, destiny, the divine cogs of reality will show us the way. Right will be merely at the end of the sign.
Divine cogs.
You don't believe in the soul, but yet you believe in the divine. Curious.
Science, my friend. Science.
Where was the science in the flowers that made us sleep and forget?
Well,
It
you
seemed
see-
to me perfectly reasonable that the signs might tell us which way to go. And here they have, right and wrong. But which way do we want to go? The right way might take us home. The wrong way might take us to whoever put us in that tower. I say we flip a coin.
Probability. I love it. I'm about it. I'm for it.
Alistair's going to kind of stare down each path in turn. And as he does so, he's going to kind of again get that nose kind of working, and his ears are going to kind of stand completely up and kind of twitch just a little at each path. He's going to attempt to see which just kind of feels safer, which doesn't seem quite as ominous and scary, if there is even a choice.
I would like you to roll me a d4.
That is a 2.
So as you're trying to sense the paths, you go down the one on the right, and you get this feeling of trepidation. You get the one on the left. Same thing, you're not quite sure. So you back to the right, and that's when you feel it. This one seems right.
By all means, flip your coin if you must, but I've decided this is the right path. This is where we should go.
Notori reaches over the sign and spins the one that says right path towards that. Then we have our answer. And she starts strolling down the path. Are you coming, or am I going alone?
Absolutely not. Run up to catch up with you. The whole way, I'm like jingling from all the shit that I'm carrying. Like, you know that kid that's got like the real heavy backpack that's like slapping him in the back? Yeah, that's slapping my chainmail.
And you two, she says, calling back to Cornelius and Jinx. I don't want you to harm a hair on each other's head.
Don't sign anything from the cat. I have an odd suspicion about that contract he handed me.
Does it end with the contract? Because that's not the case with myself.
Well, I'm saying this secretly to Tiri here, who I'm up by. You're free to sign it.
Well, I haven't seen the contract. With the little magic trick he pulled. I've seen there was I'm remembering a fair or a carnival. There was a man who did several tricks like this. Small and little things, and the ball out of the cup, and the scarf right out of his mouth, and then another and another. It is a fun trick. Children love it.
For you see, it is all a matter of perception. He has you look somewhere and pulls something from somewhere else. Merely misdirection. Quite the skill, I do say so myself.
Are you scared, Aleister?
Scared? No, of course not. Scared of what? And he kind of like flinches as something like takes off from a bush into flight. Like draws his sword.
Calm yourself. Too much fear makes the meat all stringy.
You tease and you joke all you'd like. You'll find out soon enough where the cards will fall.
Well, it seems we're falling behind. So, after you.
You guys go down that right path and you travel for a while, and it doesn't seem to get any better. It's definitely a dilapidated forest is the best word we can say it. It's not a friendly place. But after, just as you're about to give up hope that maybe you should have taken the other path, you see, and I will try to do this. The path starts to become more clean, less overgrown, and it starts to take shape, as you can see, black and white squares leading off into the forest. And you can actually see an end. The sun is starting to stream. There's a light at the end of this tunnel, if you will. And as you continue, the path gets thicker, wider. It's easier to walk on. And eventually you come to a clearing. And this is hard. Stop sharing. You come out into a clearing, and you are greeted by what looks to be a village. All white, stone village. And there's a couple of people, for lack of better words, and they look sad. They look like they've been crying for years. Those aren't wet marks rolling down their faces. It's actually etched into their skin. And they hear you as you come through this path. And the woman turns and she toddles to you as chess pieces would do. And she comes up to you, Alistair, and she grabs your hand and she says, I knew you would come. I knew you would come and help us. You are the ones we were waiting for, yes? You've come to save our children?
Sorry, was that me that she came to? I missed that part. Yes? Okay. Alistair kind of seems almost taken aback as like her cold, I imagine maybe like stone, some kind of marble or...
Yes, very cold to the touch for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of almost like recoils with his paw as she reaches out and touches him. And he kind of says, we were supposed to come here? I suppose we chose two different. There was two different paths, and we chose the one that we felt was the right path. He says, "Has that explained everything?"
Yes, and it led you here. Just as she said you would. Sorry, Joseph, go ahead.
It's the right path. Even Jinx knew. He remembered the chessmen. It surely must be the right path. What trouble has befallen your children?
They are gone. They have been stolen from us. You see, and just at this point, you can see kind of like a younger piece, more like a bishop kind of, carrying an actually what looks like a human baby. And she notices your gaze as you see this. She's like, well, of course, we're not always as you see us now. This is what we grow into. We become this as we age, and we become the pieces that we are meant to be. But the problem is our children have been stolen from us before their time. They're gone. The Metal Monarch, ever since he came, he has taken our children, and he makes them fight, and they're not ready. And we need you to help us. Please, please, you must.
Where has he taken your pawns? Its spawns.
Children.
Yes, children. Yes, of course.
Back to his castle.
You don't mean the and he kind of points, kind of in a western direction. You don't mean the Black Keep, do you?
Oh, good heavens, no! And she like jumps back in horror. Whatever you think? No. But if we do not stop him, it would be almost as bad.
I cannot speak for the others, but I will do what I can. I have no children of my own, but perhaps one day. And maybe finding your children will give me the confidence I need to have my own children.
I have 17 children. You're welcome to some of mine, if you'd like.
Don't mind if I do.
No, you...
But yes, I believe we are already too far down the rabbit hole to go any further, not to see this through to the end.
She's like, oh, wonderful, wonderful. And without you even really knowing, she's actually been like pushing you towards the other side of the city, kind of pulling you. And before you know it, you're actually at the edge of the town. And she's like, I knew we could count on you. Go, follow this path, go. It will be difficult, but thank you so much. And before you could even do anything, they kind of all just disappear, and they're back inside their little huts, if you will. And the doors are slammed shut, and you're left there at the edge of this plain. and there's nobody left. And what you see in the distance is this plain that stretches on for miles. And the grass is kind of weird. Like, you're looking at it and it looks like a chessboard, but it's not been painted. It actually is black grass and white grass, alternating as far as the eye can see. What do you do?
I guess this is the way. I mean, I don't know how I don't remember moving, but here we are. Like, did we cross through the entire town? I fear those flowers are still affecting my memory. But there are children at stake.
Very right, Naturi. I think we better go.
Yes, if there are children at stake, then certainly we must do what we can. Yes, I think you are correct. These places certainly seem to be to share some similarities. It kind of indicates the square patches of grass that kind of match the tiling of the town.
I very much want to meet this Metal Monarch. And
yes,
of course, the children.
Perhaps, if you play your pieces right, we will meet him at the end of this path.
Checkmate, as it were.
As it were, indeed.
Enough word games. Please, let us go. There are children to find. I hope no harm has come to them.
Taking like very never mind. Taking like very large steps.
But I love games.
Alistair kind of moves to the edge of this plane and kind of stops and kind of checks the sky real thoroughly. Typically, like, crossing this kind of a grassland is basically suicide. So he's very, very nervous about just kind of passing out into the open like this.
Do you fear the birds, my friend?
Yes, among other things. For my kind, it's very dangerous.
I sure watch the skies. And she hefts her bow. I would not let them come close. You will be fine.
Again, you have my thanks. He kind of tries to take this as like kind of reassurance, and then he'll step out into the grass with the others.
And I also figure anyone who has the courage to have 17 children should have no fear of a small bird.
17 are the children that I have that have survived. I'll have you know.
I think I would like turn and look back. And does this path like wind through different squares? Does it follow a straight line through like a row of squares? What are the lines that divide the squares?
At the edge of this, like the town, like there is no more path. It is strictly just this grass field, and there's no lines between the black
It's
and the
just
white
all mixed together.
Yeah, except that the fact that this patch is black and then this patch is white and this patch is black. The grass literally is growing in this pattern.
Well, you see, whoever must have planted this must have had some sort of conceptual design in mind. Very well.
Follow the piece on your chest. Straight line, my friend.
I do every day. Yes, you are right on board with my line of thinking.
I'm going to start walking.
And the rest of you, do you follow? So as the last of you steps away from the town and steps onto this field, there's a sound. kind of a rumbling that you hear. And you're not quite sure what it means. Then all of a sudden the ground starts to shake. And where you once were standing on a field with this black and white grass, it disappears. And all of a sudden you're at what you see is that the ground just kind of disappears. It sinks into, all of a sudden there's water there in front of you. And you're at the edge of this lake. And then in the middle of this lake, a tower starts to grow, and the earth rumbles as there before you is this tower in the middle of a lake that you are on the edge of. And I actually have a picture of this. Sorry, just one second. Ignore all the rest of the mountains around it. It's flat except for this lake and this tower. And I would like you to make initiative rolls, please. So we have Jinx first. Okay, so Jinx, what you see is on top of this tower, there is a chess piece. There is a bishop-shaped chess piece standing on top of the tower. And that, at this moment, is all you can see. What do you do?
I will look to see if there's like a boat or a raft in order to cross over to the tower. So I can make a perception check if you want.
Yes, please.
Okay. That is a 22.
Okay, so you scan the shoreline on your side, and there is nothing. There's nothing that is going to allow you to like use a vehicle or anything to propel you across this water. And I will say the base of the tower is probably about 40 feet away from where you are. And the tower itself is about 60 feet tall.
It seems there is no way to cross the water to the tower.
We might have to swim.
No, there's no way to get to the tower.
I am with Jinx here. Swim is a no.
Yes, I'm fine if we must go in the water. But I do have to insist that I dry myself thoroughly afterwards.
So Jinx, what would you like to do?
There's really I think I'm just gonna hold my action for now. So I don't have anything pertinent that I would want to do at this very moment.
Okay, that'll bring us to Cornelius.
When you're on the wrong page looking for your picture. So I see there's water everywhere.
nothing else around me. Can I see how deep this water is? Is it like get steadily deeper? Can I tell? I am short.
Make a perception check. Or nature.
Nature sounds better. Still not great. 11.
Well, from what you can tell from that, it'll probably get deeper in the middle before it gets more shallow where the tower is. But other than that, no, you can't see.
How, given that this building is 30 feet away, laterally or whatever, how far away is this guy? Probably like...
So yeah, the building is about 40 feet away and then 60 feet up. So
it's a triangle. So
yeah, I don't
whatever
know.
that is.
Like
It's
80,
C.
say.
It's C. Can this person hear me if I yell?
Probably.
Hello! Can you see us down here?
And are you doing anything else?
No. Perhaps if one of you would like to help me get across. I'm not sure I'll be able to with my things.
I'm not sure if I could throw you that far.
Are you sure? You looked pretty tough. I seen you heft those boulders with ease.
That wasn't 40 feet.
It would seem the cell structure of a plant molecule is significantly stronger than that of mine. You will have to test this later. Remind me.
So as you call out, you are answered by a silvery, bluish, glowing orb that sails from the top of the tower and strikes towards Nutari. And your AC, Nutari, is 14. So it misses you. So it sails past your shoulder and lands on the grass kind of behind you. And this kind of explosion happens as this kind of a mini crater is made in the ground beside you or behind you. And that would bring us to your turn.
I am certain they mean us harm. And she's just, again, like instinctually, you know, the memories are still cloudy, but she just reaches behind her and seemingly pulls an arrow from nowhere. Anyone watching will notice that it looks like it just grew from her dress and straight into the bow, and she's gonna unleash just a single shot this turn, aiming at the. You said we could see a bishop on the top, correct?
Yes. Yeah. There's a bishop standing up top. He's got cover.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't actually want to hit him. Shot sailed right by me. I want to put a shot straight over his shoulder. Definitely close enough to make him flinch.
Okay.
Like, I want to miss intentionally, but be very, very close.
Okay.
Modified 22.
Okay, so the shot goes where you want it to go. It does sail just past.
Two can play at this game, friend. Send a boat. I'm going to yell out.
And that brings us to Aleister.
How large was this orb, and where did it seem to kind of originate from?
It definitely looked like it originated from potentially the bishop himself. It was hard to see, but by the time it got to you, I would say it was softball size.
Okay. There you go. Okay. Let's see. And You said that we're in the water already?
You are at the edge of the lake.
Okay, I see. And it looks about the kind of like equidistant all the way around the tower, this lake. There doesn't seem to be like a shoreline that gets any closer than this.
Nope, exactly. It's like this kind of like a round lake with a round tower in the middle of it.
Okay. Alistair kind of looks at the others. Well, I'm certainly not going to stand around here and fling insults and near misses. Fine then, very well. And he kind of turns around and will hop into the water, and he's going to try to swim.
I did not miss.
And your swim speed would be?
Probably just half my normal move. I think that's how that works if you don't have a given swim speed.
Okay, so if you do your full...
Oh, God. I just looked at my normal speed. Sorry, go ahead.
So how far... You could like do a double move if you want. How far would that take you at half speed?
Okay, so doubling... Having my double would give me 25.
Okay, so you would be 2/3 of the way across.
Excellent.
At the end of your turn. And that brings us to... Just as Aleister gets in the water and he starts to swim across, the door opens. And out comes this this man on a horse. Sorry, changing windows is hard. Okay, sure. This man on the horse, they seem to be one and the same, like where the horse ends and the man begins. You're not quite sure they are together. And he charges straight across. And as he reaches the end of the land, the land on his side, the horse leaps and clears the distance and lands on the bank beside the three that are remaining there. And so it will be Cornelius. As the horse lands, its hooves attack you. But miss.
Ah!
Sorry, they have advantage. No, maybe. Yeah, no, they still miss. So as you picture this, the horse lands in front of you and the hooves attack and they miss you, Cornelius. They kind of go over your head because you are small. And just as that's happening, the man on top of the horse brings out his lance, which tries to spear Jinx. My dice don't like you, or me. And he completely misses you. So this lance shoots wide of the target, Jinx. You are too quick, too cat-like in your reflexes, and it misses. And that brings us to the top of the round, when all of a sudden, Aleister, you find yourself not in the water anymore. You are now on dry land, lying on dry land. And the tower rumbles and disappears down into the ground, and it's no longer there. But instead, these cliffs rise on each side of you. And you can see on one side, there's a bishop standing on the top. And on the other side, there's another one, and he's chanting. And as he's chanting this, the cliffs rise out of the ground. And that brings us to Jinx. It is your turn.
All right. I am going to return the favor on this knight. I am going to cast my Eldritch Blast. If I can. Here we go. Okay, gotta make a spell attack, and I have 2 beams, so that'd be 2 attacks. Okay, so that's a 18 on the first one.
That is a hit.
And that is a 18 on the second one.
Also a hit.
All right. So it's a D10, and I get to add my charisma. All right, so that's going to be a total of 20 force damage.
Okay.
And I will take. So yeah, so Jinx will sit there and he'll begin to move back. And as he's moving away from this knight, he holds out his paw, and this stream of green energy, again, just kind of like with a kind of firefly lighting effect from his hand, bellows out as it envelops over this knight.
Cornelius.
So I feel like I probably like fell down to one knee. Probably a little muddy from like the dirt and water. So is it? It's castles for or not castles, cliffs for everyone now, correct? There's 2 bishops. One.
Yes, you are like inside of a canyon, for lack of better words, with 2 cliff faces on either side of you. The canyon is about 40 feet across where you're at. Aleister is ahead of you.
So from like a almost utility belt, where I have a very solid wrench. I dislodge it from my belt and get away from me. Smack it. Probably don't hit for 3 total.
No, 3 misses.
But with that, my what am I trying to say? My cleric ability for Order Domain allows me to cast enchantment magic as a bonus action. And so by telling him, get away from me, I'm telling him to flee, basically, just leave me. So he has to make, this is a command spell, so he has to make a wisdom save of 14.
I got 18 on the die.
So you succeed, but another perk of my my ability is if one of my teammates is within earshot of me, they can make a reaction to attack, should they like to.
Perfect. You have... Well, all of them are within earshot, so...
Natiri, strike!
All right. Looses another arrow. Shrink. Like another one just kind of grows out of part of her gown.
Who are you aiming at?
Aiming actually at the horse. Or where would you like me to aim?
I think it has to be this target that I cast on. So
okay. Yeah, so yeah, at the knight.
Okay.
So that's a 19 to hit modified.
That is a hit.
For 8 damage.
All right, and then that. Cornelius, did you have anything else on your turn?
Nope, I'm all good.
Okay, that brings us to the bishop. So there's 2 bishops. One is chanting, continuously chanting, but from the other one, another one of these silvery blue luminescent orbs is flying out, this time at Cornelius. 15, does that hit you? Does not.
Oh, so I managed to get my giant gear clock
work machination thing in front of me.
Just in time as this orb kind of hits into this makeshift shield that you've kind of put in front and kind of dissipates without causing any real damage. And that brings us to Natari.
All right. Before I declare what's going on, do we notice that one of the bishops is chanting?
Yes. Yeah, you can hear him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to spend both attacks, sending 2 arrows straight at the guy. First one is 15 to hit. And second, oh Lord, second is a 24 to hit.
Those will both hit.
All right. And okay, so that's +5. So that's 12 damage on the first one and 8 damage on the second.
So total of 20?
Yes, total of 20.
Okay.
She kind of lightning fast. These arrows grow out and swing, swing.
And this bishop rocks. You can tell those solid blows that they sunk deep. Not enough to fell him, but enough to definitely stop him in his tracks, if you will. And that's going to bring us to Aleister, who is on the ground at this moment.
Yeah, he has just gone from swimming to lying, you said, in grass?
Imagine more like a sandy...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're going to be nice and muddy at this point.
Yeah, so yeah, he kind of rolls over and sits up again, and there's mud and small pebbles and stuff clinging all over his fur, and kind of there's like small pebbles and stuff that come out of his mouth, and he kind of looks around and he sees these 2 bishops. How high are these cliffs?
About 50 feet.
Oh, okay. And they are currently the only 2 targets that I can reach because the knight still. Well,
So
how close is the knight?
The knight would be about 25 feet away from you.
Oh, that's
how far you swam, right?
Yes. Okay, so unless I was prone at the beginning of my turn, then I'll move to close with him.
I guess you were swimming, so you would be maybe not necessarily prone, but you would probably be on your knees or somewhat prone-ish, but
prone-ish. I like it. It's like when you stay in the bathtub too long. So that's prune-ish. It's close though. All right. So in that case, I won't be able to close with him because my speed is only 25, but I will move back in his direction, drawing my greatsword and holding it aloft, taking a stance. Come at me, sir. You fight someone, well, not your same size because you're gigantic, but come fight me.
I'm sorry, did you say you closed in a little bit or you just stood your ground?
I basically, however much it cost me to get to my feet, I will move the rest of my 25-foot speed in his direction. And then basically draw my sword and ready in action for if he closes with me to strike.
Okay. I picture that you probably got about 15 feet towards him, so he's still probably about 10 feet away from you.
Perfect.
Okay. And that actually brings us to the knight's turn. And he hears your challenge. And he will turn and close with you. So those of you, I guess all 3 of the remaining people were there. So you can take an opportunity attack at him if you wish.
Does a 14 hit?
Negative.
Swinging wide with the wrench.
Yeah, I'll pop a shot at him. Fighter, I should take advantage of this opportunity attack. Yep. I just critted. Natural 19.
Woohoo! Okay.
That's awesome. Drop another die.
Utiri, you fantastic specimen. I swear to God, I'll watch you every day if you make shots like that.
Before I do damage, how would you like me to do crit damage? Times 2 or 2 dice?
So what I do is actually get a max damage for your first hit, and then roll for the first part, and then roll for your second, and then add your modifier on that.
Yeah, so that's gonna be 12, 17.
Okay.
That's probably my last awesome roll of the night.
Okay, and Jinx, did you want to take a shot at him?
Well, I wasn't wielding a weapon, and I don't think I can use Eldritch Blast as a reaction, since it's a spell. So I don't think I would be able to.
Okay, so then at this point, he closes... So actually, he doesn't quite have to close. He will close about 5 feet from you, Aleister, so you wanted to ready an action. But he is going to spear you with his lance, at least try to.
Yeah, I don't know if... I guess is him not actually closing with me fully would not really trigger my ready to action.
Okay, so the lance is going to go first, but then when the horse gets close to you, you can... So 17, does that hit you? Yes.
That is the magic number with my cloak.
Okay, so you're going to take... Where's my dice? 9 points of piercing damage. And then the horse is now closed with you and goes to attack you with its hooves, but this is where for sure your action goes off. So you do that first.
So Alistair readies himself, but misjudges the length of this lance, tries to kind of roll out of the way, and just ends up rolling straight into where this knight was aiming. The lance kind of impacts the front of that same shoulder that was injured before with the falling stones, and kind of takes a staggering step. But as he does so, and the horse kind of rears up to bring its hooves down, he kind of drags his sword up out of the kind of sandy, silty ground and slashes upward at the chest of the horse with a 19 to hit.
That does connect.
Excellent. I am... How rough does this thing look? Is it made of flesh, and is it bleeding, or is it...
No, it is... It's made of stone, and it's looking quite chipped and worn at this point, but still very fearsome.
Okay. In that case, he is going to Divine Smite.
Nice.
So as he kind of pulls his greatsword up and out of this kind of silt and sand, a lot of the sand seems to almost kind of cling to the blade. And as it dances kind of along the surface of the metal, it almost takes on like a glittery fairy powder kind of sparkle. And it sheathes the edge of the blade as he is going to deal a bunch of damage. So that is... do you want me to separate out the slashing from the radiant?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the slashing damage is going to be 7 and 2 is 9 points. And then 7 points of radiant on top of that.
Okay, so yes, you take a good chunk of this horse's underbelly out with you with that swing. But just as you do that, then the hooves go to hit you. But you've managed with with your blow to completely deflect where that horse was aiming, and it completely misses you. But it continues its move and charges past you before it veers off to the right. So it goes about another 30 feet past you, and then another 10 feet towards the right, if you were looking where it disappeared to. And that's when you notice, coming from the left, is another one of these creatures. And it does a leap towards you, Cornelius. And its hooves, 16. Its hooves just barely miss you. It clips you on your armor, and you could feel the weight of this other knight as it hits you, but it does not manage to connect with you fully. And you are too close for the lance, I would say. That would bring us to the top of the order. So the bishop's standing on the top of the cliffs. The one that you hurt stops chanting, and the other one starts to take up its call. And around you, the cliffs disappear. They kind of start to soften, if you will. And so now they're no longer cliffs, but they're these really steep hills going up onto either side. And now the ground below you is a field, but it is strewn with fallen soldiers, like a battle has been planned here. So this will be difficult terrain for anybody who is moving around. And that will bring us to Jinx.
All right. Would I have an inkling whether or not these knights or bishops can experience like like fear, I guess? Or do they seem too inhuman that emotion wouldn't really?
Give me an Arcana check.
That is 22.
Yes, you think that they're behind this rocky exterior. There is some sort of, for lack of a better word, humanity inside there. There's some sort of consciousness in there that you could potentially get to.
Okay. I am going to... okay. I am going to... I yell out to the knights there. And... know this. Fear is upon you. For I will summon the most worst devilish fiend in all of Dowrenland. And as he begins to speak his enchantment, the Fey energy begins to coalesce. And as he does, it appears as if like a Fey green portal kind of opens. I'm casting Major Image, which creates a visual phenomenon that's larger than a 20-foot cube. So it's gargantuan sized, if you will. And I am going to make this image appear to be a Jabberwocky.
Nice. Okay.
So it seems completely real, including sounds, smells, all that stuff. And they need to make an intelligence investigation check against my spell save DC in order to know that it's an illusion or not.
Okay, and anybody who sees it or within?
Yeah, and let me make sure. If they use their action, they can examine it. Otherwise, they believe it to be real. So a creature that uses its action to examine the image can determine if it's an illusion. Otherwise, in all intents and purposes, it appears to be real.
Okay.
Unless they're trying to discern or not.
Does everybody have to make the save, or just?
It's not a save. It's it's an intelligence investigation check if they want to discern if it's not real.
If they want to discern it's not real. Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
So basically, they have to use an action to determine if it's not real. Otherwise, it appears to be real.
Gotcha. All right. Are you doing anything else on your turn?
No.
Okay. That'll bring us to Cornelius.
I haven't. What is that? I'm running into the field towards Alistair. Alistair, wait! Wait for me! And in my hand, I have I'm like winding up an alarm clock. And I am effectively preparing a cure wound spell, but it's touch, so hopefully Alistair can come hang out for a second.
Yeah, at this point, he was only about, 15 feet or so away from you?
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's difficult terrain, I can only move like 13 feet.
So I would say you could get there.
Okay, so I like put the alarm clock up to your chest, and I take like a small mallet and smash it, and springs shoot out everywhere, and like the face spins out, and like the springs holding it together. And you like in the springing of the clock face, you see that the hands are actually spinning backwards, and you feel some of your vitality come back. So you get 1d8. You get a total of 9 points back. Yeah, and it lands on the 9. Bing!
Nice. That brings us to the bishops standing at the top of the hill now. The one you hit before is doing the chanting, but the other one looses one of these silvery blue orbs towards Natari and fails utterly to hit you, and it flies right over your head, way past, probably because he was slightly distracted by this jabberwock that just appeared down there amongst you. And that brings us to Natari.
I think she's going to use part of her move to rush closer to Jinx. I think we need to take these bishops out. They're forming all manner of terrifying things. And she's going to convince that the jabberwock as well as the terrain is being caused by these bishops. She's going to do another double shot at that same one. That is probably not it. That's a 12. Probably a whiff.
Yeah, that misses.
And
sorry, you're shooting at the one that you hit before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. And a modified 20.
Modified 20 hits.
Okay. And that is going to be for 11 damage.
You can
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you can describe how this arrow hits and destroys this creature.
Ooh. Okay. These are stone-like as well?
Yes.
All right. So she draws a shot bag, and the first one just sails by and misses. And the second one she pulls out, adjusting for the way the wind took that last one, and sends it flying again. And it just happens to one of the previous arrows, splits deep into the thing and shatters stone and dust everywhere as the pieces crumble to the ground and spill off the top of the cliff there. And then, if I may, I want to actually use my action surge as she spins around and the bishop on the other wall.
Nice.
If I may.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nope, that's only an 11.
Okay, that one misses. Yeah.
I think we have the upper hand, Jinx.
And that would bring us to Alistair's turn.
So Aleister, now having been passed by this damaged knight, you said he moved about 10 feet beyond me?
So the one knight passed you like 30 feet and then another 10, but that second one has jumped in and has attacked you. So you have one, the fresh one right in front of you.
I see. Okay. In that case, he is going to spin around, trying to avoid the attacks of both lance and hooves from this creature. And he's going to kind of try to sidestep and to the side where the lance is not, and is going to lash out towards the knight where he kind of meets the horse's back with his greatsword. That's pretty. So that's going to be a 24 to hit.
That hits, yes.
Most excellent. All right, so I think I'm going to Divine Strike again. Divine Smite, rather. So once again, where the crumbled pieces of stone kind of fell off of this first knight, they haven't completely left like the effect of this greatsword. They're being trailed behind it, almost like a delayed magnet, almost. And he kind of brings this sword to bear, and they almost like pull up to it and form like almost like a secondary blade as he strikes at this knight, and is going to deal. Reroll that because I have great weapon. Okay, so that is 7 and 2 is 9 again of slashing, and 10 radiant.
Yeah, so this great sword kind of jabs straight into the flank where you were aiming and takes out a nice chunk of stone.
He then pivots on his back foot and makes a lunging strike forward with the sword as he is going to use his second attack.
Perfect.
I don't think Divine Smite. I think it's just one. One and done. Okay. His second strike is going to be a 17 to hit.
That also connects.
Sweetness. That's going to be... I get to reroll that again. 11 points of slashing that time. How about me?
Yes, and another chunk will disappear off of this horse. And so you move to the side where the lance is not. Is that correct? Okay, so unfortunately, that leaves poor Cornelius there as the bearer of this. So that would be a 25 to hit you, which I believe is a hit. Oh, so you take 16 points of piercing damage from this lance as he gets a solid strike straight into you. You were not expecting this as you were tending to your friend. However, Alistair, the horse tries to hit you with its hooves. But you are too small and probably underneath it a little bit. It cannot get a good shot at you, and it misses you with its hooves. But then it will make a charge towards where the others are standing. So the two of you could get opportunity attacks if you wish.
You rapscallion! You ne'er-do-well! Dude, I cannot fucking hit anything. I got a 2 on the die.
Yeah, I got an 8 total. Also likely a miss.
Yeah, 8 misses. So Jinx and Natari, this knight charges towards you 10 feet, but before it even gets to you, it goes off to the left. So you're right, another 30 feet where kind of in the opposite direction of where this Jabberwock was. And the other knight from its position is going to spend its action trying to look at the Jabberwock. So he said it has to make an intelligence check?
Yes, intelligence or intelligence investigation against DC 15.
Got 15 right on the nose. So at this point, then he now knows that it is an illusion. Is that correct?
Yes, he can discern that it is an illusion. He can basically see through it.
Okay, so he is going to ignore it. But having done its action, will just move 10 feet towards, I guess, where he was. So he's about 30 feet to the right of you. Oh boy. Right of where you are, Aleister and Cornelius. So he moved up. He's now in line with you, but too far away at this moment to do anything. And that brings us to the remaining bishop on the top, who's now chanting. And where there was hills, they disappear. And in place of the hills, we now have this castle ramparts comes up in front of you. And the remaining bishop is on one side of this tower. So if you will, you have this castle wall in front of you, 2 towers, one on each side. The bishop is on one tower, and you are now in front of it on this vast plain. No longer is it difficult terrain. It is now just normal terrain. It is field grass in front of a castle walls with the bishop, who now has cover. And that brings us to Jinx.
Okay. Yeah, so I can use my action to make this image move and make sounds. So an attempt to kind of like, I guess, intimidate the bishops. Maybe try to break their concentrations. I will have it like basically roar and like fly towards them, like as if it's going to attack them.
Okay, that's very cool.
So I don't know, do you want me to make an intimidation?
Yes, please. Let's do that.
Okay. All right, I got an 18.
I would say that does it. The bishop stops in the chanting. And I would say it's before even those walls are fully formed. So this tower that was growing, these ramparts that were growing in front of you have stopped, and he's only about 15 feet up rather than being the 60 that he usually is. So he no longer has cover at this point, I would say. Not enough anyway.
Now is your chance, Notari. Strike true.
And that will bring us to Cornelius.
Cornelius is down on one knee. This last strike from the lance hit him pretty hard. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. And he like takes off this thing from his boot and like plugs it into something from his pack. You better watch out. Cornelius is coming for you. 3, 4, 5, or no, 3, 4, shut the door. The sands of time have started to pour. And I'm going to pour this liquid into the other side of my backpack. And I'm casting Spiritual Weapon, which my like backpack has started to like and like reforming and configuring. And it's like a grandfather clock and like big gears that are like ticking. And it's got like the long like pendulum. And it like springs to life behind me. And the turn I cast it on my turn, I can make a magic attack against something. I'm going to attack the knight that just square pegged me in the chest. Finally, a total of 16. Just please tell me a 16 hits.
A 16 does hit.
Yes, we can do some damage. Not a lot. Total of 4 damage.
Okay, you chip it.
But as a bonus action, I can attack again because it functions on my bonus action. So if I think that's how it works. Let me just, as a bonus action on your turn, you can move up to 20 feet and repeat the attack. So total of 5.
5 to hit?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that does not hit.
So this thing swings and it like hits hard, and like as soon as it hits, you hear like the gongs go off, like as it strikes, midnight. It's bing, 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 and it comes around again, but the horse must just be too fast and sidesteps my blow. And I'm kind of like dusting myself off, getting up. I'm going to. I think I'm going to move back towards the rest of the party.
Okay. How far can you move at this point?
I can move 25 feet.
So you could close in with Notari and Jinx if you want to.
So yeah, this huge hammer construct is still over by Aleister, but Guys! I run over to you.
All right, and that actually brings us to Notari.
She glances over, as oh gosh, I forgot the name. As Cornelius comes running up and notices he's kind of looking a little hurt. And she calls back as she's just pulling another arrow from her dress. If you reach into my bag and pot the sap, and she up at this to fire her 2 shots in. Oh man, natural 1 on the first shot. Before I continue, what bad thing happens because of that?
So I meant to do this at the start of the game, and I totally forgot, and this reminded me. I wanted to give you guys each an inspiration point to have at the beginning. So if you want to, you can use it now.
Yeah, I'm going to use that and reroll that one. Thank you.
My bad. I meant to tell you guys y'all start with one.
Yeah. Whew. So that's 18 plus 8 for a 26 modified on the first shot.
That hits. And you were aiming at which?
At the bishop again.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so he stops changing our terrain on us. Oh, and a 22 modified on the second.
Yep. Hit.
Okay, so that's going to be a total 11, total of 21 damage with both shots.
Wow. So this bishop, not only is he being attacked by a Jabberwock and completely terrified, he's now just received 2 brutal shots, and he is reeling. I would almost say that he has fallen, well, except he doesn't have a butt. He would have fallen to his butt at this point. So he is somewhat prone. We'll say prone-ish again. And Natari, is that your turn? Was there anything else you wanted to do?
Yeah, I'm just calling out to Jinx. You opened those shots up wonderfully. Thank you.
Okay, and that brings us to Aleister. Currently, you do not have anybody directly upon you, but there is the Hurt Knight, which is about, like I said, 30 feet towards the one side of you, and then there's another one that is in front and to the same side, away from the Jabberwock that used to be there. So he's probably about 25 feet from you.
In that case, the second knight is the winner. I can reach him, so I kind of thump the ground with my foot and bound off in that direction. And as I do so, I kind of take like a little springing jump with my greatsword kind of up above my head and bring it down towards this second knight. I'm gonna see if it'll work. 15 to hit.
15 does not hit.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to attempt the second strike at the same target.
Okay.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to burn the inspiration on that.
Okay.
She giveth and she taketh away. All right. That's not a lot better. Okay. That's only a 12.
Sorry, that does not hit.
So yeah, he's bounding over to this knight, and he's making these swipes at this thing. But most of his blows seem to be glancing off of this thing's like stone flank, and either that or passing through cuts that have already been made and are missing, and it's doing nothing but like basically sparking.
Okay, and that brings us to the knight's turn. This knight that you've closed in on is going to try to hit you with the lance as it... oh, that's going to be a hit. 17 on the die, so... that for 9 points of piercing. But as he's jabbing you with this lance, the horse begins to leap away. So you have a chance for an opportunity to attack if you so choose.
Now's my chance. Not rolling like that, though. No. It's like an 8 again.
No, that does not hit. So this knight leaps towards the party, but cannot get fully there at this point. So does the remaining charge just... oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like as a running charge. And so this time it is Natari who the hooves are trying to hit. AC 14.
Connection.
Okay, so the hooves. Ouch. That is 13 points of bludgeoning damage as the hooves connect solidly with you.
Oof.
Okay. And then
Nice. She definitely stumbles back.
Yeah. The other knight, I guess we'll move the 30 feet towards where you are and then his 10 towards you, Alistair, but he cannot make it there this time because you moved to the other one. So he is on the other side of you. So you've got one that's in front of you and then the other one that is 15 feet away from you. And that brings us to the bishop at the top. He spends his turn actually looking at this Jabberwock. So, in fact, instead of the terrain like changing, it does not stay the way it is as well. It actually starts sinking back into what you originally saw. You're now back on that checkerboard field with the black and the white grass, and there's nothing else, no other terrain. This bishop is lying on the ground, looking at this Jabberwock that's flying in its face, and recognizes that this is just an illusion. And so he spends his turn, his move, standing upright. But that is all he can do. Jinx, it is your turn.
Jinx will let go of concentrating on the illusion as the Jabberwock disperses in green firefly light. And as it disperses, these two crackling energy beams kind of blow through the illusionary smoke as it like pelts into the bishop himself. So I'm going to make 2 Eldritch Blast at him. The first one is at a 17.
That hits. Yeah, so do your damage on that one first.
Okay. D10. Nice. All right. 9, 10, 11, 12 damage. 12 force damage.
Yeah, so as your Eldritch Blast nails this guy right in the chest, he literally explodes and shards of rock and dust just kind of fly out from him. And he is gone. You have the second blast. I don't know if you can redirect to somebody else or...
Yeah, I can choose a different target.
Yeah.
I look at the... I turn to the knight that was attacking Nutari. It does not look well for you. And again, just like, since he's right there, it's kind of like point blank. As I shoot this blast, this green eldritch energy kind of like fills in the cracks and chips that are all over his body and the horse's body. That is going to be a dirty 20 to hit.
Definite hit.
And oh, nice, max. So that's going to be 14 force damage.
Nice. That takes a good chunk out of this knight. Is there anything else on your turn, Jinx?
Nope. I think that's it. Yep, that's it.
So Cornelius, it is your turn. You have a knight in front of, well, around you at some point.
Well, I say I've had about enough of all this chaos. I'm going to cast Guiding Bolt. Level 3 seems a tad excessive. We're going to go level 2. Yes, 18 plus 6, so 24.
24 hits.
All right, I have to roll 5d6. So obnoxiously low, 14.
This is at the one that was like right in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you take beautiful chunks out of it. Both of these knights are looking extremely damaged at this point. What's holding them together, you're not quite sure.
Well, as a bonus action, can I move my hammer to this knight as well? As like I'm shooting at his chest, I want to make a strike from behind.
Sure.
19 plus 6, 25.
That's a hit.
Yeah.
Still abysmally low damage. 5 total.
Describe how this one perishes.
So my guiding bolt is actually like the chinks and like gears in my gauntlet, kind of like there's like a stone, one of these chips from him, and it's kind of like getting upset that it can't complete, and like the energy like that happens as it like crushes the stone, shoots off and hits him in the chest, and he kind of looks down at me and I smirk, and this giant hammer just like smashes his head and it like breaks his head off, and the horse kind of like crumbles to pieces from the momentum, and I kind of like, no one messes with a Bandersnatcher.
Perfect. And that brings us to Natari. The one that was right on you is now gone. His powder from this big hammer strike. There is Alistair is in front of you about, I've lost track how far away he is, but the horse, the other knight behind, I would say about 35 to 40 feet away from you at where you stand right now.
All right, I'm going to put another arrow, knock it in the string, and step forward in front of both Jinx and Cornelius to kind of put myself in between them and the knight. And I actually want to make an intimidation test. I want to yell across at this knight, "Leave now, or to become gravel like the rest." If possible.
Sure, yeah.
That is total 16 to attempt some intimidation.
You could see that the knight pauses. Your words mean something, but there's almost like a compulsion, and he does not run.
Okay. Yeah, that takes my turn. I only get the second action if I make a attack action.
Okay. So
but
that
yeah, I
brings
do
us
want to make sure. I do want to make sure I'm between him and the other two guys.
Perfect. Okay.
That's it.
And then that brings us to Aleister.
And the last night is how far from me again?
Probably about 15 feet from you. He tried to close but couldn't reach you.
And the one that just died
was where the other people were all at.
Okay, so that's a fair distance from me.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, this one is on the other side of you from where your comrades are.
Okay. In that case, he is going to okay, how far am I away from the one that just died?
You're about 25 feet from that one.
Okay, yeah, that's too far. All right. So Alistair instead is going to having seen this foe just vanquished, he's going to turn his attention to the other one, the one that's closer to him anyways. And once again, bounding, he's going to close the distance between them. And as he lands from a bound, he's going to kind of crouch and attempt to drive his greatsword kind of straight up through the chest of this horse. Yes. Okay. That is a 23 to hit.
That definitely hits, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. That is 11 points of slashing.
So you can describe how this one is described.
So as he lands in that crouch from his last bound, he almost uses the momentum from his jump to carry him up kind of directly behind his greatsword as he kind of rests the pommel kind of just on the top of his breastplate and uses his own body weight to drive his greatsword up to the hilt. And it makes this kind of noise as it slides into the stone of this horse. And he then twists the blade, and this thing basically just goes, pops into pieces and collapses onto the ground around him, where he then turns and kind of stands big, brave, and victorious.
Beautiful. With this last, I've lost the word, creature that fell, each of you, if you would like to make a perception check, please. So Cornelius and Jinx, you were watching Aleister as he was dispatching this last foe. Aleister, you were too busy actually dispatching, so you don't notice this. But the other two, as Aleister cleaves this knight in two, you see this faint, kind of darkest black mist kind of come out of the remnants of this knight, and it kind of coalesces slightly before it zooms off over this hill, this field of black and white squares, and disappears into the distance. And I think at this point we are going to take a small break. We'll come back and do the second half.
Yes.
Good job, friends. Not friends, strangers, people I don't know. I didn't mean to say that.
Acquaintances.
I think friends works at this point.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps maybe checkmates even.
Perfect.
Are you?
So be back in about
You-
5-10 or so.
You do have 17 children, don't you?
Yes, I have a father several times over. I was an expert at dad jokes. Karen was all worried about this. She's doing fantastic. This is so much fun. It's a really, really strange thing to hand over like a setting to someone else for them to run, but it's also really awesome at the same time. Having the chance to experience from the other side of things is really, really fun. Baron, if you're talking, you're muted, by the way.
I was yawning, but
Oh, fair enough. Dave's giving you shit in chat, by the way.
what's that?
So Dave is giving you shit in chat.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. What's new?
Pussycat? Whoa, whoa,
Oh. Cornelius has seen better days.
whoa. Yeah. We got our butts kicked.
There's a couple things that I said that, this is complete stupidity and nonsense, but it fits.
It's so great. Like I said, he's definitely going to become the benchmark for the Neldink. Like hitting the clock with the mallet and all that shit is right on point.
Very, very on birthday to you.
To me?
To you. Thank God I just read this book like a week ago.
Steeping.
Truly.
Yeah. I've always thought it'd be really fun to play basically one of the Munchkin. And yeah.
I unironically decided to go that route when I picked the voice.
It's so awesome. Well, that's basically kind of what the Neldink are. It's supposed to be the Munchkins. Just
Well then.
Clockwork and inventory type stuff. So
Nailed it.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
This is awesome. I'm loving this game so much.
Fun.
I
The
tell you
characters
what,
are fantastic.
I cannot hit the broadside of a barn to save life. I literally rolled like 2, 3, 2, 4. It's like,
My dice have been very hot or cold. It's been like below a 5 or like 12 or higher.
Right? I'm actually like, every time I miss with the bow, I'm like, wow, that doesn't happen often. Like, I have a ridiculous bonus for that thing. Just from like the dex and the archery stuff. Like, I get a +8.
Ooh-wee.
Everything else is way lower. Oh man, this is Karen. This is awesome.
I am very glad you guys are enjoying it.
Like I said, I don't know what you were worried about.
Nerves are fuel.
Yeah, they are.
I've been so excited to run this game for weeks, actually. So it's been pretty awesome. So thank you all for sticking with me and doing this.
It's a real sacrifice. I'm here to tell you.
Cornelius starts something, he aims to finish it.
Hold on, I gotta go defend myself to Dave.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right. We have left you on the field of battle, this black and white chessboard-like terrain. What are you doing? What's going through your heads?
Mostly ouch.
Yes, I echo that sentiment. Natiri, would you like to sit with me for a while? Perhaps I can aid your ailments.
I have something that may help as well. And she takes a few gasping breaths, clutching at her side where the horse hooves kicked her nice and good. And she digs through her pack and pulls out these small wooden pots capped with mushroom tops. And she says that the nectar inside is sweet. It was gathered from some honeybees. I can't remember where, for the life of me. But I have plenty to spare if anyone needs them. They will help and they will make you feel better.
Don't mind if I do.
Alistair kind of once again points his nose in that direction and kind of twitches his whiskers, kind of like shifting back and forth. It's safe. Yes?
I assure you it is. The most gentlest bees you could imagine.
Other than, I once again, I would like to extend my thanks to you. He will also take one and drink it.
Jinx will. Are the knights and stuff? Are they still? Are there pieces still around, or did it all evaporate?
They pretty much kind of powdered, and so have dispersed upon the wind at this point.
Okay, but there's no tower. It's just a field again.
Yep, back to your plain, kind of a rolling field. You can see for miles, but there is a slight hill, so it does disappear. You can't see what's past it.
The question is, where do we go next?
I think before we travel on, I'm going to see how many of my arrows survived. And she's going to kind of make a round and see how many she can possibly collect back that weren't damaged from the stone.
How many did you shoot?
I shot a total of 10. So I started with 20, and I'm down to 10.
And how many missed? How many missed?
See, I had one that purposely missed, and I think 2 or 3 others that also missed. So three or four total misses.
Yeah, so you would totally find those ones. And then give me a D6.
Okay. 3.
And you find 3 more that are somewhat, maybe nicked a little bit, but still serviceable.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, now she gathers them up and goes to tuck them back in her dress, and they seem to grow back into some of the gossamer lattice work. And she begins to kind of hike the dress up and pull and tuck it around and tie it so it's more akin to shorts, girding the loins as it were. I think this may be more fitting for what is to come.
Well, let's see. Well, I don't seem to see anything that would indicate the right path. And he kind of looks back the way they came, or the wrong path, for that matter.
There was... Oh, whoops. Actually, I didn't see it. Sorry.
There's like the clockwork machination of my spear's weapon kind of like making its last putts as it kind of like collapses into the ground, and I go over and like smack it real hard with my wrench, and it kind of like wraps back up into my pack, and I shoulder it, rub my glasses of some dirt. If I'm not mistaken, I did see a dark mist travel that way from the site of the fight. Perhaps that way?
Natiri, do note my thanks for the sap you have provided. I shan't forget it. A Bandersnatcher always keeps a promise and never forgets a favor.
Oh, the favor is not mine. Just be sure that you plant flowers where you go. And if you find any, do not pick them. The bees, they will appreciate it far more.
Pick the flowers. Yes, not quite my forte, but I will certainly make note of it for anyone I see in the future.
What do you guys do?
Am I able to, whoever, something, Joseph, you had.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Cornelius, if you saw something leave the field, then perhaps you should lead the way. I saw
Lead the way.
nothing.
Yes, very well. Can I maybe make a perception or investigation to see if I can maybe survival, some sort of check to pick up on the trail that I guess it wouldn't leave a trail, but head off in the direction of this cloud.
Yeah, sure. Perception, survival. Yeah, either of those works.
Which one am I better at? Perception it is. Total of 16.
Yeah, you have a pretty good idea of which direction that dark mist disappeared to.
Kind of clinking through my eyeglasses here. I find my normal ones back. Very well. This way.
Yes, and this can totally be considered as a short rest for you guys, so you can get back. Do any hit dice of healing if you want to, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and use 2 hit dice for healing as well.
So as you gather yourselves together a little bit and do some rest and then head off the way that Cornelius was indicating, you trudge through this field of black and white, and you eventually reach the crest, this crest, and you get to see over it, and down below you is this, well, the field, stretches out towards what seems to be a more solid hill, and you can see that there's like a speck in the distance on this hill. You're not unsure what it is, but Aleister kind of reminds you of like a warren back at home. And as you head down this hill, you notice that the squares that you are trudging upon are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Instead of being like 10 feet across where you started, they're now, your feet barely fit in them, but they're all kind of leading and converging towards this opening on the side of the hill. And as you get closer, you notice how very, very small it is, that you would have to crawl. Get down on all fours and crawl through.
Look here. It's just like the Warrens back home. My people, they live in homes like this, dug into the sides of hills. Though this one is small.
It looks quite cozy. The soil looks fresh and clean.
Well, yeah, it's probably a very comfortable temperature as well. I suppose I'll head in first. And he kind of, as if with like practiced ease, like drops down on all fours and like starts to worm his way into this hole.
And as you crawl in, the further you go, you notice that eventually it starts to widen a little bit. And soon you're no longer kind of brushing the sides as you were in the beginning. And eventually you feel like you could almost even stand up as this path that you're on seems to widen and increase in height, or so you think. And do the rest of you follow?
I think I would be second in.
I'll take up the rear unless Jinx has opposition to that.
No. You see him take off his top hat, and he just kind of flattens it, just kind of stuffs it into his jacket there as he crawls in.
And so as you continue through this tunnel and eventually get to a point where you could stand, you notice again the stones underneath your feet they're black and they're white. They started out as pebbles, but as you continue, they're becoming bigger and bigger, these slabs of rock, until eventually, as you're walking, the roof now seems like 60 feet above you, and the walls have increased dramatically. And the floor that you're standing on, these squares, are massive again. And just as you're thinking to yourself, is this place getting bigger or am I getting smaller? You come to an open cavern, and the floor in front of you is one solid black square. And you see across the room this throne. A throne made of metal and stone as well. And on this throne, you see this man. And he is just lounging there, for a better term, and watching you as you come in. Who dares enter my abode?
Cornelius Gildegard Victavian Bandersnatcher IV. Who might you be?
I'm sorry, you're the fourth? What a silly name.
Presumably, my father was the third, and his father the second, and his father before him the first, making me the fourth.
And what brings you here?
Why, it has come to my compatriots and I's attention that you have made off with some children that do not belong to you. We aim to return them to their rightful homes.
What business is it of yours?
That is simply a matter of good moral standing, per se.
Parenting.
Yes, I am good at parenting. Quite the moral standing I have. So again, I ask, what brings you here?
We found ourselves unconscious in ye Olde Castle, in which you had dubbed to be dismantled, with us inside. Why?
Well, that is most unfortunate for you, but there were signs everywhere. How did you miss them?
This is what we look to discover.
And you do realize there's a difference between parenting and kidnapping, yes?
And he turns a steely gaze towards you. You dare question me? Who are you?
I am Natari Birchkin of the Kessir, and I believe you have something that does not belong to you. That is who I am.
So you are saying that you do not belong to me, but you... Are you offering yourself to me? Is that what I'm supposed to understand from this? Is that why you are here?
Sir, forgive me, my lord. And he kind of bows with like this practiced gesture. Some of my compatriots are not used to the courtly standards. There is a matter that we wish to bring before you and have settled post haste.
Well, speak.
That is the matter of the chessmen's children. We need to return them to their rightful parents.
Why? They weren't looking after them. They weren't had their best interests at stake. Here,
Well,
they become with everything for them.
No, sir. Point in fact, you fight them, or have them fight others. I'm quite certain that we actually fought several of them on our way here to meet you.
Are you questioning me? Are you saying I am a liar?
Well,
you dare?
If you are standing in direct opposition of what I am stating, which are in point of facts, then yes.
Come closer.
Natari steps forward and says, "Yes, I dare. And I assure you, my courtly etiquette is far practice. But there is no king here worthy of such etiquette. There is no royalty that I see before me. Only a stealer of wee babes." And she takes another step forward.
By conglomeration of facts, not a truther.
I said, come closer. And he looks at you, Jinx, and you, Aleister. If you wish to speak, then come closer, if you dare.
Aleister will kind of look where the other two have already stepped forward. Yes, of course. And he will step up to join them.
Yeah, Jinx approaches.
As the last of you steps onto this big black square, the ground rumbles. It shakes. And that's right, it is a trap. All of a sudden, this black square that you stepped on starts to rise into the air, becoming a pillar, and the ground on all sides of this large 40 by 40 foot square disappears into this cavern below. And then as that's all happening, you notice that what you did not see before, around you are all these cages suspended from this now closer ceiling. And inside each of these cages is a child. The boys and girls that have come from that village. Some are battered, very bruised, welts, scars on them. Some not so much. But each one of them is in this cage trembling, and they don't make a sound. I will have you guys roll for initiative, please. I am also going to share with you a link that I'm hoping you guys could open up as I get that ready. I'm trying something new. Never done this before, so hopefully it works. So hopefully what you guys can see in there, you should be able to move the pieces, I'm hoping. If you could try that and position yourselves on that first row of squares.
I just sent you a request to edit.
Okay, just 1 second here then. Okay, now you guys should be able to move them.
Might have to reopen it
Yeah, I was going to say, I might have to
if you
refresh
can't
it.
move it. Yeah.
Yeah, just try refreshing.
Yeah, let me try that. See if it'll work. This computer is slow. All right. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Okay, done.
Perfect. So as the rumbling and the ground is shaking, what you see in front of you is the king on his throne in that square in the middle there. To his right, there is this knight, I guess you would call it. Looks almost like a rook from a chessboard. And then there's these 8 pawns. As you can see there, they're holding spears. And I need all of you to make a dex save at this point. As the ground rumbles and settles. This is just to keep your feet. Okay, you all managed that dex save. So we will start with the round, and Aleister, at 22, you are first.
Does the position on the board that we took up do anything for our movement? Karen, if you responded, you're muted.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You move like normal. You
Okay.
don't have any restrictions on your movement. You can move any direction. Each square is 5 feet.
Diagonal doesn't
diagonally.
cost you. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do I guess the old way is what, 5 then 10 then 5 then 10, but it's just easier to just do 5 5 5. So we'll just do that.
Cool. In that case, I will move 5, 10, 15 forward here. Attempt to swing at this pawn in front of me. I rolled a 1, but I am lucky. Or I have the what would normally be halfling luck. So if I roll a 1 and on attack, I can reroll.
Perfect.
I'm glad I got to use that. Ooh, and that's much better. 17 times better, actually. So that's a 22.
That will hit, yes.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Chitlin. Oh, that's boxcars. So that's going to be 14 points of slashing damage.
So this thing, as you smack into it, is completely obliterated. It, in fact, actually explodes into a burst of jagged rocks as you hit it.
I bet that's not painful at all.
Yeah. I need you to make a dex saving throw. DC 12.
Okay. Come on. Oh, I missed it by 1. 11.
Okay, so you are going to take 1 point of slashing damage.
Ooh, okay. I am then going to take, what is that? 5, 10, 15. A diagonal step for 20 and take my second swing as I kind of follow through the slash of the first one into the second. Oh, that was almost a 20. That's a 17 to hit.
That is also a hit, yeah.
Sweet. I get to reroll the 1. Okay, that's a 5, 6, 7 points of slashing damage to the second.
Okay, which one were you aiming at?
The one that is now in front of me.
Okay, so it also explodes into this shrapnel blast. Make another dex save, DC 12.
Okay, I got a 16 on a die on that one. So.
Okay, so you
Just 1 point from the first.
will take half damage. Oh, and this time it'll be 3 points.
And is that halved or?
Yeah, I rolled 6. Sorry, so that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I've taken 4 total.
Okay, and that is your turn, correct? Okay, that brings us actually to a lair action. All of you on white squares. The floor beneath you, all of a sudden, just kind of these two almost like bear trap like contraptions spring up from underneath and smash into your legs. I need you to make a dex save, DC 16. Okay, so you all failed. You all will take 11 points of bludgeoning damage, and your speed is reduced by half for this turn. So until the start of the Lair Action's next turn. That will bring us to Jinx.
Sorry, you cut out for me. How much is our speed reduced?
Half. You're at half speed.
Half. Yeah. Ugh. Okay. Yeah. Jinx pulls out his hat and it pops. And as he puts it on, he pops out of existence as he casts invisibility on himself. And I am going to move my 15 here. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and use my ability, my line agility, and I will go ahead and double my speed for this turn. I'll actually go there.
Okay.
And I is invisible, which is... hold on, somewhere around here. Invisibility. All right, I become invisible. Everything is invisible on me unless I attack or cast a spell. There you go.
Okay, so perfect. That brings us to the man in the throne. He glances at the three of you now, and his eyes rest upon you, Natari. And he utters a words. You can't understand what he's saying. It's too low. But all of a sudden, the ground at your feet becomes soft and mushy, and you start to sink. So I need you to make a dex save to leap out of the square that you're in.
It's a modified 17.
That is a success. That is a success. You may move into any one of those 3 black squares.
Okay. I'll hop right on over.
And just so we are clear, I wanted that the edge of the board, that's where the drop off is. There is nothing around you on either of the sides. That will bring us to this rook. And he is going to move to here and attempt to grapple you, Alistair. So opposing, I guess, athletics or acrobatics, if you will.
Okay, I got an acrobatics of 14.
Okay, he got a 23. So you are now grappled with this guy. He has got you. And that is where we'll end his turn. He has moved and grappled. Brings us to Natari.
All right. Okay, my movement is halved. Okay, that's not even quite there. Okay. So that is quite going to. Oh man. No, I think I'm gonna stick with the longbow. Better shot. Sorry if I hit you, Alistair, but I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna hit my mark. She's gonna line up a shot and aim at the rook. And try and pop 2 shots off at him. Calm and collected. We can do this. God, I hope I don't hit Alistair. That is a 16 on the first shot.
Yes, that's a hit.
Okay. Oh, man. That one's going to miss. That is only a 9 on the second shot.
Yes, that is a miss.
I also, sorry, Alistair, that is a natural 1 on the second shot.
For the 9? Is that what was a natural 1?
Yeah, it is a natural 1.
Okay, so roll again to hit. We'll do that. Roll again to hit. If you hit Alistair's AC, you hit Alistair.
Oh, shit. Of course, I had to throw the die. Oh, shit. That's a nat 20?
Okay.
Son of a...
Okay, so
bitch.
it won't be a crit because it was just a hit, but you do hit him.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry, Alistair. All right, so for the rook, that is going to be 11 damage. And against Alistair, shit, that is also going to be 11 damage. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. Oh, man.
It happens. But yeah, he is definitely going to call out them. Shoot them.
And Natari, are you doing anything else in your turn?
I'm actually going to Yeah, I'm gonna take one quick move away from the edge. Apologize, Alistair. It will not happen again.
Cornelius, you are up.
So, what is in terms of spellcasting? I think I'm confusing this with Jeremy. Using a cantrip and then casting a spell. Do you allow 2 spells to be cast in a turn?
I'm totally going to allow that. Yeah, if one's a cantrip. Yeah.
Well, I am going to command as a bonus. I'm gonna. You're there, big man, attacking my friend. I demand you leave. As I cast command as a bonus action. DC 14 wisdom save on your part.
So which one are you aiming at? The
rook.
The rook? Okay, sorry. The DC was what?
14.
Oh no, he failed.
So I'm basically just telling him to flee. His action. Actually, let me give you the word for word. The target spends its turn moving away from you by the fastest means available.
Okay, and that lasts for how long?
Until the end of its turn, I believe.
Just in its next turn. Okay, perfect.
And that is my bonus action. And by commanding this, quickly, Aleister, take your strike! You can make a reaction to strike, Aleister.
I would certainly like to do so. 14.
So you are grappled by him. Does that...
I do not believe that it affects attacks at all.
I actually talked about this in my game last night.
Yeah.
Grappling only affects your movement.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got a... I'm sorry, what did you hit?
A 14.
That unfortunately does not punch through his armor. So you hit, but it scrapes off.
Yeah, I can't get enough of a backswing with this greatsword because he's got me grappled, I imagine.
Yeah.
By the rook. And with my action, the gears of my armor are starting to lock up again. And as I make my movement, I'll move once I go back over there. I'm casting Sacred Flame, which is a to hit roll. 22 to hit.
Again, you're aiming at the rook?
Yes.
Yes, that's a hit.
For a total of 8 damage. As this gear, basically, I picture malfunctioning machine equipment, just ping, even a spring is now sticking out of my armor, and it soars across and smacks into him.
Perfect.
And I am going to move. I can only move 12 feet, so I'll just move 10 feet. Going right here.
That'll bring us to Aleister.
So where this thing still has me grappled and has not yet moved away from me, he's trying to reposition himself to try to get a swipe at this thing as it was going to start trying to move away from me. He's going to attempt it again. Since he can't move yet, he's just going to try to attack this guy, get him off of him. That's probably going to do it. It's a 22 to hit.
That is a hit, yes.
Excellent. Okay. I am going to go ahead and drop my die on the floor. I'm going to go ahead and juice this up with a Divine Smite. Once again, the pieces of that pawn that he's basically standing on top of, the parts of it kind of come up with this strike, forming a secondary edge, the razor sharp edges of the stone cutting alongside his the steel of his blade. That is going to be 11 points of slashing damage and 13 points of radiant. You're muted, Karen, so I didn't hear you tell me that I killed him.
You didn't kill him. I'm sorry. And I was muted because I was doing math in my head, and I didn't think people needed to hear that.
In that case, then I was just entertaining your people. I'm trying to.
All right. So is that your turn?
It is not my full turn. I will take a second attack. Once again, trying to get him off of me. Oh, that's another one, but I have the halfling luck.
Nice. That's pretty handy.
Yeah, it's a very, very arguably broken mechanic. That's another 22 to hit.
That is another hit.
Excellent. Oh, that's boxcar, so I'm going to roll it again because it's a great weapon. Okay, I have to stick that. So that's 7 and 9 points of slashing that time around.
9. Okay. He is starting to look a little chipped.
Excellent. Good.
And that brings
chipped off.
That's right. Chip off the old block. Brings us to the room. So this time the black squares, everyone who is on a black square, the ground below you erupts and spikes shoot upwards at you. I need you to make a Dex save, DC 16.
I failed real hard.
Okay. I got a bunch of dice for Christmas, so now I get to use them. This is pretty exciting. All right. Okay, so those of you who failed will take 11 points of piercing damage, and those of you who saved will take 5. And that brings us to Jinx.
Oh, did you catch that? It was your turn.
No, I don't know what's going on with my bandwidth. It's horrible. Okay. I am going to Eldritch Blast the king here. All right, that is a 23.
You're muted, Karen. Oh, Karen?
And in the wrong window. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you didn't hear this, but as you strike this blast and hit the king, or so you think, they immediately change places. The rook is now where the king was, the king is where the rook was, and the rook takes the entire hit of what you just did.
Okay, so he'll take 10 force.
Okay.
And then with my second beam, I'll attack the king again.
Okay.
That is a 19.
So that would also hit.
And that will be for 13 force damage.
And they immediately switch places. And you said how much? 13 force or?
13 force, yep.
Force. So yeah, so they immediately switch back, and I'm assuming you're visible now.
Yes, because I attacked.
Okay, so that brings us to the king himself. He looks at you, Jinx, having popped right there in front of him, and his eyes bore into yours. And without even a sound, you can feel his will upon you. And I need you to make a DC 16 wisdom save.
We'll save. Okay. 18.
That is a success. So you could tell that he was trying to charm and enslave you, but you shook off the effects. Okay, so that will bring us to the rook, who is no longer grappling you, Aleister, because of the popping in and out. So he is going to...
He is also under the...
Oh, that's right. He has to run.
Command.
Yes.
Shoo, leave.
Yep. So that's exactly what he will do. He will go as far away from you as possible. There you go. And that is his turn. Brings us to Natari.
All right, she's kind of, eyes going back and forth as, watching the rook and the king swapping places. And noticing that it happened each time that the king was attacked. So she's actually takes some movement up here to stand beside Alistair and draw her bow, aiming at the rook. So here goes. Double shot and possibly that is a 14 for the first shot.
14 misses.
Okay. Ooh, 19 on the second shot.
That one, however, does hit.
Okay. And I'm also going to use that action surge for the additional action. Which, oh yeah. And I'm guessing the 23 is going to also work.
Yes, very much.
But modified. All right, so that's going to be 12 and 6, so 18 total damage. As she unleashes a flurry of arrows.
I think if you make your action surge, you can make 2 more strikes as another attack. So you get 1 more, I believe.
Is it? I'm pretty sure I just said 1 more action. Oh, no, like a full action?
Yeah. And every time you take the attack action, if you have extra attack, you get 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do have extra attack. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's very
Robin gets another shot. Sorry. Yeah, so that last shot, that is another 19. That will be another 7 damage.
And I just realized, so we're just going to jump in after your turn before Cornelius goes. I forgot to move the pawns.
Oh, right.
So I'll let you finish your turn, though.
They're not just meat shields?
Yeah. So she fires that last shot. How much movement was that? It was 5, 10, 15. Are we back to full movement again?
Yes, yeah, you are.
Okay. 15, 25, and 30. I will make my way up there and call that good.
Okay.
All right.
So there's 2 pawns. Yeah, Jinx, you appeared right before the pawn would have gone, so it sees you and will try to spear you. $12. I don't believe that hits you. Nope. And then the other pawn is on Aleister, which is also a complete miss. So that's pawns. We'll go back to I think we'll have them each move. And that's Cornelius's turn.
We got him on the ropes, lads. I'm going to move my full movement over here. Is there any possibility you have like a black pawn token?
No, I do not. Sorry.
No biggie. I am going to cast. I wind up another clock. Whoever hits him next, hit him good. And I'm going to like hold it in front of me, and it's going to spring heavy. And like one of the arms is going to like fling across the room as I cast Guiding Bolt. Burning up all the spell slots. All right. 16 plus 22.
And who are you guiding bolting?
The Rook.
The Rook. Yeah, 22 hits.
$26. 32 points of damage.
Whew. So the Rook is looking mighty hurt at this point.
So as this like arm flings forward, there's actually like a semblance of the emblem on my chest, and I say sacrilege, and this like rolling like spiritual steamroller of a like rook piece about my size just kind of barrels into like the bottom half of his body and like shatters to pieces.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that hurt a lot. And that will bring us to Aleister.
Aleister, if you attack the Rook, you have advantage.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. Seeing this thing's defenses somewhat lowered, even just momentarily, by what Cornelius has just done, Alistair is going to kind of sidestep and kind of thump the ground, thump, 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 and then charge forward, ending here and using his first attack as a shove. So it should be, I think it's a athletics check.
Okay.
I think it's handled just like a grapple, if I'm not mistaken. But I think it counts as an attack action, so should still have advantage because of the guiding bolt. So as an athletics, that is a 17.
Yeah, I rolled a 2 on the die, so
Yes.
yeah, you got
Suck
it.
it, Blue. So he charges forward after having like thumped the ground repeatedly, and even though he's injured, he's throwing himself into this fight, just trying to give it everything he's got, summoning up this muster of courage. He charges in, and as this small little steamroller Rook has just hit this larger Rook down low, Aleister kind of puts a hand on the back of this little steamroller bot thing that Cornelius threw out and hits this thing right kind of in the solar plexus, real high, so that way hopefully it'll start to topple over backwards.
So what happens when you shove? If you win the contest,
Move back 5 feet.
move back 5 feet. Yeah, so you won the contest. So he is going to go off the edge, and I'm going to give him dex save like I would have you. Okay, so as you push him, he seems to be a little bit lighter than what you figured, and he actually flies back more than 5 feet. But just as you think you have won, he grabs onto the chain of one of those cages hanging there. And so for all intents and purposes, he's off the map. But he's dangling over the pit but hanging onto one of those cages. And Alistair, is that your turn, or do you still have...
So I was there. So 5, 10 feet of movement to get to where I'm at now. I will 15, 20, yes, 25. That'll put me right beside the king, raising my greatsword this time for my second attack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, it teased me. It bounced on it and then rolled to a 2. Damn thing. Okay, that's a 7 total. Shit.
So unfortunately, you take a great shot at this king.
Can I give him my inspiration?
Sure.
All right. No, come here. God, Alan. That's an 8 total this time. I'm so sorry.
So you go to swing at this king, and you stumble, and Jinx kind of reaches out and gives you a hand, and you try to strike true still, and yet you don't. In fact, you actually just hit the throne, and your greatsword clatters off. That brings us to everyone on black squares again. The floors erupt in spikes. I need you to make a dex saving throw, DC 16. Okay, so for those of you who failed, so that will be Cornelius, you are going to take 17 points of damage. And that means 8 for Alistair and Jinx. And that brings us to Jinx.
That's all. Okay. I am... Oh... I'm going to do what warlocks do best. Yes. I'm going to Eldritch Blast that king. So I'll roll my first attack. That is 17.
Yeah, so you hit the king, and immediately they switch places. So the king is now dangling on the cage. However, his throne has fallen down into the pit, so he's no longer... You have dethroned the king. But all the blast goes towards the rook. How much damage do you do?
I do 9 damage, 9 force damage.
Okay. Rook is still in front of you.
And the king is dangling, huh?
Yeah, he's on a cage.
Is it dangling over anything? Just up in the ceiling?
So imagine these metal cages are over the pit, and he is like on top of the cage itself.
Okay. Can I target the cage? Like the chain?
Sure, there is a child inside.
Choices, huh? Okay. I guess I will attack the rook with my second blast.
Okay.
That is gonna be a 15.
A 15 does hit the rook.
Oh, nice. That is going to be 13 force damage.
So you can describe how it looks as you dispatch this rook.
So yeah, Jinx, again, his eldritch energy blast forth, bypassing just over Aleister as it hits this rook square into the chest and begins to overflow and fill this construct, and it begins to crack and shatter until it just explodes, sending debris everywhere, and then little firefly motes just kind of dwindle in the spot that he was in.
Beautiful. He is gone. There's like two of them. Weird. Okay, so that brings us to the king and what should have been the pawn's turn. So I'm going to start with the pawn that's on Aleister. Complete miss. The one on Jinx. That is AC 20. I believe that hits you.
Yes, that will hit me.
Okay, so the pawn. Hits you with his spear, dealing 3 points of piercing damage.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna use my Misty Escape, which as soon as I take damage as my reaction, I turn invisible and can teleport into an unoccupied space, and I remain invisible until the end of my next turn, or if I cast a spell.
Beautiful.
So I'm gonna get out of those. Well, actually, I have a pretty good range. I'm gonna get down here.
Okay, and this pawn is going to step up and attack you, Macari. So that'll be a 23 to hit.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
So this spear is hitting you for 4 points of piercing damage. Okay, and that one, Aleister. That's a 16. That's.
This is because of my cloak of protection.
Beautiful. So he sticks you with her, and it gets tangled up inside your cloak and misses you.
You guys tried to make fun of me for taking that too.
Okay. 18 to hit you, Natari. For another 3 points of piercing.
Ooh.
And the last pawn on Aleister, that is a 17. Okay, that one hits. Okay. That one's for 4 points of piercing. And Kingo. So as he, dangling from his cage, sees his rook fall into the pit, and you can see kind of a panic cross his eyes because his champion is now missing, and he mutters these words, and these two more pawns appear. And as they appear, you see these two cages where these children are. These children look fresh. They don't look very hurt at all. But then all of a sudden, they kind of slump in their cages as this black mist kind of comes out of their body and infuses inside of these pawns that kind of grow from the ground. And they will both attack Natari. Okay, Okay, so the one misses, but the other one actually does a crit damage to you. So you will take 11 points of piercing.
Oh yeah, that stings.
Okay, and that is the king's turn. Rick is gone. That brings us to Unitari.
All right. How far away is that cage?
So it is 10 feet straight north of that pond that's in the corner.
Okay. All right. Oh man. Okay. I think first as a bonus action, I've got second wind. So I'm gonna use them, and that next I'm going to bump up. I'm going to drop the bow and charge straight out this way and make a flying leap to that cage. The cage that the king is on.
All right, I need you to
Oh boy.
make an athletics or an acrobats check.
All right. Athletics. Oh, actually, I have. Oh, no, that's right. That's just proficiency. Okay. Oh boy. That's going to be a 14.
Okay, so you don't quite make a nice landing. You manage to grab onto the cage, however. However, you are on the bottom side of this cage, so you're going to have to climb up to be where the king is at.
All right. Whew. That's I'm okay with that. If I have any move left, I'm going to try and start climbing.
Okay. Give me a strength or athletics check to pull yourself up.
All right. Again with athletics. That is another 14.
Okay, you're finding it difficult.
Yeah, a little bit injured, like from the stab wounds. It's the muscles just aren't cooperating. She can feel things tearing as she goes.
So I would say at this point you don't actually like really make any progress, but you could get one of your feet kind of up onto the ledge so that you can like the floor of the cage so that you could pull yourself up fully next time.
Okay.
And that'll bring us to Cornelius.
Well, we've got him on the ropes, or the chains more aptly. I am going to run forward. One, two, three, four. You shan't hurt the kids no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. This is what we call checkmate. And I'm throwing my backpack into the square. I'm going to use one of the rooks, if you don't mind. Right here. And I'm going to attack the pawn to my right. For a total of 12.
That does hit.
Oh, cool. Okay. Total of 5 damage.
Yes. So as this pawn, you said the one to the right of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as this pawn explodes, I need you to make a
Dex save.
Dex save. What was it? DC 12.
11 on the die, and I don't have a modifier.
So you take a full 8 points of damage, slashing damage, as it explodes right in your face, all the shrapnel just embedding itself in you.
Yeah, if I could stop getting hit, that would be great. As my bonus action, I'm going to move my hammer. It can move up to 20 feet, and it floats, so I'm going to move it to the king.
Okay.
If that's fine with you.
Yep. Yeah, sorry, 20 feet? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a swing at him. Try and just boot him off the side of this cage. 22 to hit.
That is a hit, yes.
For 5 points of damage.
Okay. So what you see, when you obliterated this pawn and it blew up in your face, you could also see that this black mist flies back towards one of the cages where one of these kids was in, and the slumped kid inside kind of revitalizes slightly, and another welt opens up on his body. And then as your hammer takes to the king and strikes him, the king disappears in a puff of, I'm not going to say a puff, into like a complete shattering. He just starts to crack and completely disintegrates from that one hit. And as he dies, the ground that you are on shakes and rumbles again and settles back down to where it originally was. And there's now no longer a pit around you. And these cages have been lowered down to the ground. And as they touch the ground, they open. And these kids are all free. And all the remaining pawns just crumble to the ground, and the essences run back into each of the kids. And as you watch all these cages open, you notice there's these 4 kids that look different than the rest. And as the essence of the 2 of them enters back into them, Aleister, you notice the one in front of you, he reminds you of someone. And as right before your eyes, you can see him kind of change into what you think was a policeman that you saw earlier, before he starts to, changes back into this boy. But in the same instant, you also see the small young Levin. You recognize yourself in him. And as he frees from the cage, his spirit, this boy, he runs away with the others, and he, instead of becoming more and more substantial, he actually becomes less and less substantial until he kind of disappears, but with a laugh. And each of the other 3 of you, you notice the same thing. You notice Jinx, this young boy who you recognize as a young Assalon for a brief second before he changes into this older painter, and likewise disappears with this, the first boy. Cornelius, you see a chess player. And Natari, you see this athlete, this sharpshooter woman, before they all basically go trotting off into the distance, giggling and laughing amongst each other. And the rest of the children all gather around you. And that is that. You have taken the Metal Monarch and have won this game.
Well done, Karen.
Thanks.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
A lot of
As
fun.
Cornelius
Oh,
fades
man.
away, king me.
That was a very awesome game.
Thank you guys for playing. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for putting up with all my shenanigans.
They were wonderful shenanigans. Man, that chessboard encounter was awesome. That was pretty
That was
brilliant.
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
So with that, we will just go on to outros. We'll go in the reverse order, and I'll start with Baron. Go for it.
What's up, everybody? I played Cornelius. Fuck, what the fuck was my name? Cornelius Gilgad Octavian Bandersnatcher IV. Pleasure to have saved the children and reunited them with their families. I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. We had a bunch of shit go on this last week, so go check out what we got going up. You can catch me on Thursday running a Ravnica game. You can find me here on Myth and Gears for the Genesis awesomeness. And then you can find me over on Jeremy's channel, Way Too Much. Thanks for having me. Glad to have been here.
Thank you, Baron. This is great. And yes, check out his stuff. It's amazing. We just played a Caldera game. That was so cool. Anyway, Joseph.
Thank you much. Once again, I'm Joe. I was Notori Briarthorn, or I'm sorry, Birchkin. Sorry, there's another Briarthorn. Birchkin. It was my pleasure to save the children and journey through this rabbit hole with all of you across many verdant squares. Again, I'm on the 1 Foot Wall upcoming. We've got some retro 50s sci-fi pulp using Cosmic Patrol coming up next week. Check it out if you want. Definitely watch more of this channel and more of these other channels. I don't know how to point to all of them, but watch everybody. These guys are great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. That's amazing. That retro 50s thing sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to check that out. And Jeremy.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everybody. Once again, I am Jeremy. I have the YouTube channel, the Erasmus Expeditions. There's games and stuff about games over there. I also am 1/3 of a podcast you can find on YouTube called The Dudes of Yore. Go check it out. I have been playing Alistair Briarthorn. And I had an absolute blast. Heading into this, I hadn't squared away the character's personality just yet. I draw a lot of inspiration from the artwork and then like to try to figure it out as I'm going. And it was a lot of fun to do so with the other 3 characters that were, they just were played so well. It was a lot of fun to kind of play off of them and find a niche to fit into with this character. And Karen, like, again, I don't know what you were concerned with. Like, this was such a fantastic interpretation of Dowrenland. It's my first time having the chance to play in Dowrenland as a setting, which was stellar. I don't know that anybody's ever going to be able to match where you have set the bar. You not only understood the setting, you took it to places that I would never have even thought to take it. It was very, very creative, very imaginative, and morbid and twisted as well, which is exactly what Dowrenland needs to be, in my opinion. So thank you very much for giving me the chance to play in this and experience that.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. I want to thank you for letting me jump into your playground and just have fun. Dowrenland has always been a little bit of a little sweetheart for me. So this was amazing to be able to jump in and play and kind of take over and just have fun with it. And thank you all so much. Alan.
All right, thank you. Sorry for whatever reason, audio issue, video, I don't know, bandwidth issues. So everything was like cutting out for me at the end. But I had a very awesome time. Karen, you did a great job with the thematic of the setting. It definitely had that very Alice in Oz feel to it. So I definitely felt that immersion. And the characters were awesome. So it was a good group to play with, and I enjoyed it very much so. And I'm Alan. Oh, I was playing Jinx. He was very happy to save the children, but more happy to kill this king. And And yeah, I just had an absolute awesome time. And the next game I'm in, I believe, is the Highlander game on Jeremy's channel. So if you haven't seen the Highlander series that he has on his channel, go check that out. It is definitely a story to be at least heard, if not seen. And I can't wait for the next session. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd have to second that. That Highlander series is absolutely amazing. Have loved every single one of the games that have gone on. I want to thank each and every one of you. Your characters were amazing. I love the interplay you had with each other. It was so awesome. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming along on this ride with me. And so with that, I think we'll sign off.